Well, it's been quite a long hiatus, you could say, with the last few months being off. But welcome to episode 18 of the Matt the Critic Show. On today's episode, I'm pleased to welcome one of my longtime mates from college, Tom Atkins, to the podcast. Welcome to the show, mate. It's great to get
Hello.
you on.
Yeah, no, good to be here. Good to be here.
Yeah, how have you been enjoying your newfound freedom with now your dissertation's been done?
Oh, I'm loving life. A lot of chilling, a lot of basically doing literally nothing. Such a contrast between just hunched over the computer all day, typing away, and now it's just, you know what I mean, playing some games, going out celebrating a lot as well. Yeah, just loving the freedom. Yeah.
Good. And I think we'll start off before we get into what today's topic of the show is. What have we been watching recently? Anything you want to give a shout out to before we start?
Uh, as far as films go, I sort of got a bit nostalgic and went back because I'd never completed these trilogies. So I'd never finished the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, and
Yeah,
neither
yeah.
had I the Cars trilogy. Because
Sitting on your letterbox, yeah.
yeah, yeah, I had such fond memories of How to Train Your Dragon. I think that's such like a brilliant trilogy. The first one especially, I've got a soft spot in my heart for. I think it's such a brilliant film. The soundtrack as well is honestly iconic. Like I'll hear it every now and then in someone's like random TikTok or reel or something, and it just takes me back. Cars, yeah, I liked Cars. The first one. The second one was quite goofy. I can't
I
lie.
didn't rate it that
It,
much.
it went a bit off the rails. I definitely rate How to Train Your Dragon above Cars for sure. The third one, the third one was all right. It was just all right. It was okay. I don't know. And then I think the only other thing I watched recently was Godzilla minus one, which I loved. I loved every second of that. I don't think you rated it as highly as I did though.
No, but
On
I'll be honest, I got out of work late that day, so I had to go to a very late
uh
screening, and I think that may have affected my like mentality because I thought, why am I not thinking more to this? I think I just wasn't in the mood. I think if I rewatch it, it will go up my mark.
Probably. Yeah, and I just really because like I think about when we watched uh Godzilla versus Kong, and it really was just like you staring at a green screen for like the entire
Yeah.
film, and the human characters were just sort of there to like point things out, like just sort of exposition. They were just
Mm.
sort of exposition creatures that I don't know. Some of them were fodder. They didn't really matter. There weren't any characters really. But in this one, I really did find it quite, or at least the main character, quite compelling. You know, being a kamikaze pilot
Mm.
and sort of the just his whole character arc to do with honor and overcoming his cowardice and duty, stuff like that in post World War II Japan.
It's
What
really, it's a really interesting take, I think, to sort of align Godzilla with war. I think it was really well done, like thematically.
Yeah, because I Googled it and that was why they called it minus one
Okay.
because um the whole idea was that due to what happened with World War II, because obviously America, bombed them with nuclear warheads. Japan was basically set back to zero because all of their buildings and infrastructure had been, basically deleted. Many families were torn apart, and um, you can see it in the film as well. Like, it's
Yeah.
not even a city, it's like
Mm.
rubble that people have made into makeshift houses. I remember watching another film that was to do with post-World War II Japan, made by Studio Ghibli, called Grave of the Fireflies. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen that,
No,
but
I've not seen a Studio Ghibli film yet.
damn. But that also kind of showcased the sort of how hard life
Mm.
was post-World War II in Japan. And then the film goes, oh yeah, Godzilla's arrived, and so Japan's at zero. Now Godzilla's here. It's even worse. So they're not just at zero anymore, they're at
Yeah.
minus one.
Mm.
Which is a funny way to name your film, but sure.
Yeah, I'll give some films that I've watched recently in the cinemas.
Yeah.
Probably very current stuff. I think I kind of want to review this because I think it's going to be probably my biggest rant of the year. And Russell Crowe's new exorcism film.
Yeah, I've
Oh,
heard some things.
good Lord, this was abysmal. Um, I think
And
it's actually like I don't take pleasure in seeing this, but I came out. It's probably the only horror film this year that I've came out genuinely angry at society
all hope in humanity is lost and
because he did
creativity
one.
gone.
He did an exorcist. He did the Pope's Exorcist, which is actually quite goofy and funny. You can at least laugh at it, and there's at least some fun to be had. I saw that with a mate from
Was
uni,
it
and we go,
intentionally funny though? Like, did they, when making it, did they intend for it to be like funny, or were they actually trying to like be
uh,
serious with it?
I doubt they were making it funny, to be honest. But Exorcism is neither funny nor scary nor compelling. It's just downright. It's
Oh,
quite funny
blimey.
actually. I'm gonna I'll walk you through the reactions sort of when the lights went up and the credits because I sort of heard some reactions across the audience and with the third reaction I am gonna swear, so be prepared. So the first reaction was like this older couple thinking basically it wasn't the best exorcism film I've seen, and I was like, no crap it was. And then there's a group of girls. Do you know when you see a horror film and you sometimes you get a group of people walking thinking, oh, you're going to be the loud ones who are just going to scream at every little thing that happens.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
very well behaved, I must say, because the film wasn't scary at all. And one of the girls said, I think I've seen better acting in my GCSE drama. And the guy who sat a few seats away from me got up and you could just hear the sigh of him and he just went, well, that was a load of shit, wasn't it? I didn't stop looking.
That has been me in some films. Oh my Lord. I
But it's
mean,
just like, yeah,
I
go for
can't
it.
even like I am guilty of being the loud one. I remember going to the cinema with a few mates of mine to watch The Nun. Oh,
I've seen that
Jesus
now. The
Christ.
nun,
Yeah.
I hated both of
That
them.
was awful. And so we were just basically just cracking jokes during the film to try and keep ourselves entertained because of how bad it was. It was so stupid. Um, how would you like compare the two then? Like the
Um,
Nun and this.
well, I was saying the exorcism, you can actually see some of the characters because the lighting in the nun, I remember it. Honestly, I had my brightness on full when I watched it, and I was so dark because you couldn't see anything. That's all. I thought the story for the nun, and I think the story for the exorcism is it makes no sense whatsoever.
No.
Like if you think about it for 1 second, you could just drive an RV through the amount of plot holes.
Is it like it makes no sense, yet somehow is still basically the same generic plot, but like
Shall I tell you a bit about the premise of the
yeah,
X?
because I honestly know nothing about it.
You know nothing. So Russell Crowe is essentially I'm gonna have to try and remember the details because it has gone that out of my head that much. He's like a struggling actor. He gets cast in a new horror movie as like a priest essentially, and but as you see, he's sort of spiraling throughout the film. It's a case of like what's really happening to him. Is he being possessed, literally? But I have to say, the film that they're actually making is one of the most poor meta science things I've ever seen. Like, you know, in Scream, where you get like the really cool stab franchise nods. I hated every second of it. I think that honestly,
Yeah.
the demon's power, by the way, is apparently to turn the lights on and off, which is always something we love to see in other films. Like, just turn your freaking lights on. Like, I hate every honestly horror films. I'll get onto Midsummer rewatch in a minute because I do want to compare. Because I'm comparing literally a 1 star to a 5 star.
Yeah, genuinely.
Horror films are at their worst when it's so dark in the room, literally, like from a lighting perspective, like it's not effective anymore. Like you just know something's going to come out and go bang. I mean, the essence of this
And
is
even
quite
then,
funny.
like darkness should be used like effectively. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's films like take The Descent that is literally set in a cave underground.
I've never seen the
Realistically,
descent.
is the darkest you could probably ever get. But I don't have any problem seeing the characters in that film. But then there'll be moments in it when like it's completely dark and they don't know what the hell is going on. and the creatures are coming for him, and it's used effectively to make it even more suspenseful. Um,
Yeah.
but then you get these films that just like over rely on it because they've just got
I
nothing
actually
else up
thought
their
it
sleeve.
was I thought it was worse than the Exorcist film that came out last year by the David Gordon Green who did the new Halloween films because I hate that as well. Like,
I'm just glad that you go out of your way to watch all of these films so that I don't have to.
I think it's good. It's good. It's good because like I think Winnie the Pooh 2 is coming up on my radar
Oh
shortly.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like it can't be any worse.
You
It
wouldn't
can at
think so.
least be fun.
At least you can have fun with the Winnie the Pooh horror film for
I did
sure.
laugh at the first one like a lot.
Yeah, it's just so stupid. Like the directors, they gotta surely be like self-aware about it and know exactly what they're making.
But I went to I talk about let's be positive here. I went to rewatch Midsummer in the IMAX re-release that really came out of nowhere on the listings. I mean, I saw
Mm.
Midsummer Hereditary. I was like, what? Like, 'cause at the time, I think had to watch it at my house.
Midsummer, I think, is a really good example of because you were just talking about like darkness and the use of light. The majority of Midsummer is like just bright. Most of the film is set during the day, I swear, and yet it's still one of the best horror films going for sure.
I think Midsummer's a masterpiece. I came out at 2 hours 50 as well. Like, it was the extended
I
cut, and I
mean,
was just,
the first scene alone, when it's going through the house and you're like seeing the family's dead bodies, like it just has you hooked for like the rest of the film.
and I went, and it's probably has like one of the best title cards when it comes up in the snow.
Yeah,
Midsummer, amazing
yeah.
film, mate. Stunningly acted by Florence Pugh. I've got to say, like that. Every time you feel her despair quite a lot. To be fair,
Mm,
like, I mean, it's so convincingly done. So I'd say, yeah, Midsummer. If you can catch it, I mean, it's definitely worth the watch. Do you prefer Midsummer
100%.
or Hereditary?
I find Hereditary to be the scarier of the two. Like, I think Midsummer is just a disturbing sort of type film rather than scary. I can't think of many moments where I was genuinely like sort of edge in my seat, oh crap. Ooh. It was all just very like you were watching it and you slowly just like your face is just getting more, what on earth? You know what I mean? It was like one of them. Um, but I remember there were several points in Hereditary, like when like the mom is like on the ceiling like that.
Crazy, I love this.
I like to jump back at that. Um, what I like about both films is they're both also like the themes of both of them are very compelling as well. Like the story of the characters and what they're going through. Like in Hereditary, you're basically looking at a broken family that sort of refuses to confront their issues and solve things in a healthy way, and it basically leads them to their own demise. Like I remember at one point in Hereditary, the dad found out that the Nan's grave had been dug up,
Yeah,
and then he just doesn't tell anyone about it. He just keeps it to himself.
yeah.
And then it obviously like plays into later at the end of the film when yeah, and then quite the contrary to that, Midsummer um goes away from sort of focusing on a broken family, but is more about finding a new family
Yeah, yeah.
and accepting and becoming part of, something bigger and more welcoming of you. Although obviously in the film it's a little more twisted.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't advise anyone who's suffering to make the same choice that she did. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know about that.
yeah. It's a hell of a dark film, Midsummer, when you really get to the complexities of what it's really about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I'd say Midsummer probably has better cinematography, maybe, or like
Yeah,
effects, like
it
when
it
like
looked
when she's on drugs and stuff.
it looked stunning on IMAX. Like genuinely, kind of like made me think more of the film seeing it on a bigger screen.
Yeah, I think like as far as cinematography goes in Hereditary, my favorite thing about it was like how it made the house look like a dollhouse almost.
Mm.
Like all of the people in it was just figurines, sort of for the play of something beyond their comprehension. That realistically, all of these people involved in the story had no genuine actual chance at changing the outcome of the end of the film.
Yeah, and the same day, final film for me, I went to see The Bike Riders with Jodie
That's
Comer, Austin Butler, and Tom Hardy.
that's it, Austin Butler. How was that? I've seen the
Uh,
trailer for it, but I don't know
yeah,
much about it.
it was a really interesting one because I think it took a while for me to find its footing, but by the second half, because it kind of like it's done. You know, who Mike Faced is. He was in Challenges and West Side Story.
I can't say I do.
You know,
I
you
might
can't.
if I saw his face, I might, but I
He's
can't say I do.
basically like a film student. He's basically recording the retelling of the Bike Riders Club from Jodie Comer's character's perspective, who plays the wife of one of the bike riders, Austin Butler. And it's but in the second half, it kind of switches to Tom Hardy's story. Tom Hardy's the leader of this club. I'm going to just get the name up now, but what I'll say is I think it's remarkably well acted. I think maybe Butler is the weak link of the three because he's
Oh,
it's a very silent performance. It's one of
right.
those very much sort of relying on facial expression to do the work. Hardy is excellent. There's a real sort of strong sense of loyalty you explore within his character. And Jodie Comer, I think, is just one of the finest actresses working today. I don't know how much you've seen of her work.
Well, I've seen the first season of Killing Eve, which I really enjoyed. I was advised not to continue. Apparently,
Yeah,
there's a bit of a decline. So
that is
I
the
watched season
correct
one,
answer.
and it was great. I saw what was it called? Where it was set during COVID, and she was
How? Yeah,
Help.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she was great in Help, and she was in it, but probably not one of her greatest works. But she was in Free Guy,
Yeah,
the
no,
Ryan
yeah.
Reynolds film, which
I think
was a Ryan, it's a Ryan
yeah,
Reynolds film, but
average. It's a
yeah,
Reynolds film, yeah.
yeah.
I think Comer's accent, like complexity, because she's doing like this American, really like hardcore accent. It's like it's unbelievable. I think it's a real treat to watch her a lot of the time. Like I've got a
Mm.
bit of a bias. I think she's probably she kind of gets the next five films out of me. She's in
She's
28
good.
weeks later. She's in 28 years later.
Years. Oh, the one that's coming out. Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy's in that.
I enjoy all of them.
I can't. That's probably gonna be that's out next year. That's probably one of my most anticipated of next
Yeah, I'm
year, I'd
looking
say.
forward to that. I am looking forward to that. I do
But
hope
yeah,
it's good and not just some cash grab because there has been like a recent trend of like reviving 20-year-old movies and just randomly giving them a sequel. It's like The Matrix Resurrections.
yeah,
Like, what was that film? I don't know what.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, I think what was interesting about because you're on about the bike riders is I remember Austin Butler in an interview said that he didn't shave his hair for June Part Two, because he was filming the bike
yeah,
riders like pretty much at the same time or was about to. I cannot believe they made him look so genuinely bold. Like, how
yeah,
can a bald
yeah,
cap actually cover his hair? I mean, his hair is nuts. He's, you know what I mean? He's got like a proper quiff and all
yeah,
sorts going on.
yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. Butler is enigmatic in Dune 2. Like when he shows up, you feel you feel like you're. I mean, and I saw that at midnight, and boy, it woke me up.
Yeah, no, he was brilliant as Fade Rather in
Yeah,
June 2. That was
he's
just a great
incredible.
film.
It's incredible, Austin Butler, and I think he maybe gets a little sidelined in this, but I think he's still got a very important part to play. It's the Vandals Motorcycle Club.
I gotta say,
It's
June Part 2 was the first thing I'd seen him in. I can't think of much else
you
I'd
haven't
actually
seen Elvis.
seen what?
You haven't seen Elvis.
Ah, no, no, I haven't. But now that
Yeah,
you mentioned it, yeah, he was in that. What were you saying before? Sorry, as well.
yeah, it was the Vandals Motorcycle Club, and yeah, it's mostly about their story and sort of how the club started. It's really becomes a story of legacy in the second half in terms of like bringing people together. What does it stand for? What do the colours mean that they wear on their jackets? That's a very touched upon message. So I really enjoyed it. I'd give it like a 4 out of 5. Is my
Okay, that's
personal
solid.
rating. I think we all know what my exorcism ranking is. Good, yeah.
0.
And Midsummer, still a 5 out of 5.
Still a five. Still a five.
TV show wise,
Easily.
it's interesting because I finished I binged the last series of Servant, the Apple TV show. I do
Mm.
apologize. I keep telling you I'm going to start Severance, and I somehow managed to find every excuse imaginable
Oh
to.
my God. Like, I know you'll like it. I already know you'll like it because it's very similar
I'm gonna,
in feel, in vibe to Dark and 1899 in sort of like the kind of mystery of what's going on.
we have in the categories we're about to discuss. Can we have biggest stupid decision Netflix has ever made and just put 1899 in capital
I
letters?
can't lie, like I wrote 1899 down for one of the
Oh, we'll
categories.
get into that. You're jumping ahead there, but
But so I'll jump ahead. But yeah, what were you saying? Sorry about Servant
yeah,
and
we'll get
stuff, TV shows.
yeah, Servant. I kind of watched it because I knew M. Night Shyamalan's daughter had a film coming out, which I saw recently called The Watch. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
And he's got M. Night's got a new film out this year himself called Trap, which have you seen the trailer for that?
I don't think I have. I didn't realize
Okay,
he'd got a new film
I
coming out.
wouldn't advise you see the trailer for it because there is a little twist that gets revealed that I think is unintentional, but I think
This
it's
is what's wrong with trailers these days, man. It's why it was so refreshing when you showed me those little clips that Longlegs has been doing.
long legs marketing. I think is the
Yeah,
best
like
in
the
years,
intrigue.
genuinely.
Talking of marketing, like you did have people dressed as monkeys on horses riding around for the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes film. And
Yeah.
recently, linking to a TV show that I'm also currently watching, which is House of the Dragon season 2.
Okay. Yeah.
They had a giant dragon on top of like the Empire State Building or something
Oh,
like
that's
that.
really good.
Yeah. I don't know if you're like a Game of Thrones, House of Dragon type fan.
I haven't seen it, to be honest. I have that much to catch up on. It's just mental, but no, I've been Sullivan. I thought was incredible. It's all 40 half an hour episodes. It's 10 per series, and I sort of don't even want to describe the show because I feel like I'd be spoiling the first episode ending. And when that
Okay.
happens, there's a bit of punch to it. But to essentially sell it, it's
I remember
basically
you describing the premise, and the premise sounded really interesting.
yeah, they basically it's the wealthy couple, news reporter played by Lauren Ambrose, and a like he's a chef who creates dishes. He's a very food's very much a big theme in the first series.
Yeah.
Stay-at-home chef, and basically they hire a new nanny to help with the child. But there's
Mm.
something already about the child that I can't really explain. That's a bit that would
Okay.
reveal the end of episode one. But
Yeah.
it's I think the way they sort of deal with grief and the way that's explored over the two seasons, I think is impeccable. I think they've got had quite a foray of directors work on it, and it's really good to see their own individual stance.
Mm.
So I think it's really good to stand out. I watched the last series over one night because I was that hooked on it. So I was up to
I remember doing stuff like that. It's fun when it's like that good.
it is fun and
Like
it's a testament.
guaranteed I'd have done that with 1899 if like we weren't watching it together. It would have
Yeah, we were
happened.
watching it. I think we were both busy with uni and stuff. But yeah,
I mean, to be fair, we watched all of Dark season 3 in one day, and that was together,
that, that was
wasn't it?
great.
Yeah. As far as TV shows as well, I'm also currently watching the fourth season of The Boys, which
Yeah,
is premiering now, which is it's I don't know. Every season is enjoyable. Don't get me wrong. I really like the show, but I think my only problem with it is I feel like every season they just end up back at square one. I feel like the position the main characters are in now is basically no different to the position they were in way back in
interesting.
season one. They're still trying to take down Homelander.
Mm.
And you know what I mean? Yeah, like that's it. And it's like, okay, like none of them have died. Um, like it's just sort of been like random sort of side characters that have died. Um, Yeah, and they got like different like little side stories going on, but realistically, I don't really care about them all that much. Like, well, you realistically, when you watch The Boys, you're watching it for Butcher and Homelander, how they're gonna get him, what's he gonna do, what's gonna happen. Um, yeah, so apparently, next season will be the final season of that show, so I'm hoping that for the rest of the season some stuff starts to develop and there's a bit more like consequences going on,
Yeah,
I'd like to see that because I'm hoping it ends well, like quality
yeah.
wise.
You
Yeah.
think it's right? It's coming to an end. No,
Do I think what? Sorry.
it's the right decision. It's coming to an end with series five, I believe.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it'd be just be dragging on if it went on anymore. I thought this season was the final one.
Okay.
Um, so I was surprised when I heard it was getting a fifth one, but I think it could work depending on how this goes. My answer might change by the end of this season if it goes a bit awry,
Yeah.
but I'm enjoying it so far. I do like it.
That's good. I'll definitely stay posted about that because I've been meaning to watch The Boys for a while and I've just never got around to it. It's been on my
It's
radar.
it's fun. I definitely wouldn't like say it's like a masterpiece or anything like that, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think my next watch is definitely going to be Severance now. I've got out of Shyamalan watch phase.
Yeah, no, I again highly recommend that show. I was edging
Yeah.
my seat on the finale. I'd so badly wanted to know what happened next.
That
Uh,
means it's going to go to a very big cliffhanger, I imagine.
yeah, the cliffhanger is a doobie, to say the least. It is
Yeah.
a hell of a cliffhanger.
I can't wait. I'm going in blind as well, know nothing. So,
You know,
the
yeah,
best way.
best way to be. Best way to be.
Yeah,
100%.
Apple TV's got some very good stuff, and yeah,
I mean,
good
yeah, because
to.
I watched Tetris not long ago and that was absolutely brilliant.
Tetris was exceptional,
Yeah, I really like
but
that.
shall we get on to why we're really
Yeah.
here? As we've actually had this discussion.
Can you
So
see like the time as well as we're doing this, like how long we've been talking? I
I
don't,
can't.
you can't. They can't even keep
So
track.
people are just gonna have to put up with
Yeah,
us talking
whatever.
out of our asses. But
Yeah,
so this is the Hot Takes podcast, where essentially we've sort of created categories where we're going to that are controversial with some regards. We try to make them a little bit controversial. There's some hot topics indeed. And yeah, we've came up with a few options for each, and we're going to go through them. We've got 10 categories in total. So if you are still with us at the end, please stay tuned. But I think we're going to talk about positively about some gems, and we're going to talk about some films that didn't work for us. Which, because I didn't just want to bash films for an hour at all. I mean,
no, no.
there's no point in sort of disrespecting the industry. We both love. So let's get on to the first big category, which I think is quite a heavy hit. He's got his Tom's ready. He's got his picks. So, most overrated major studio film.
A
Do you want to kick
film
us
I
off?
think is completely overrated. I, the first one I've written down is Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I think I enjoyed it, like watching it once, like the first time, but then when you thought about it afterwards, the
Yeah,
whole film just didn't make any sense, and it was basically just n nostalgia bait using the old character.
I would kind of agree on that, to be honest. I think
Yeah,
like you take out the Peters as well, like Andrew and Toby, it's not really that good at all.
no, it really isn't. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like it was just kind of using sort of gimmicks like, oh, Doctor Strange is in it, these characters are in it, these characters are in it. But the story itself just really isn't all that. And then when you think about the story, it literally doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, they're like removing memories, but then at the same time, like surely records of it exist in books and on the internet. At the start of the film, I think Flash had a book about being friends with Spider-Man, and then I think I remember watching or reading something, and they literally said, why didn't in the film they just remove the idea of Mysterio? Like, surely that would have just
True.
solved
You've
all of their
literally just
problems. Like, I don't, I don't know why they didn't
uh,
just do that.
yeah.
Um,
It's an interesting one that I think it's still a good film for me personally. Like well, not enough to call it overrated, but shall I go for my probably most overrated?
yeah,
You're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
you're gonna
sure.
I think you may have this as well. But I've got kind of the awards up for this to really just prove a point for the
Okay.
logistics. Actually, let me just get the other one up. So my pick, and I've not watched this since I saw it in the cinemas back in 2018, is Black Panther.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that.
And let me pull up
Uh,
some awards facts from IMDb. So Into the Spider-Verse, which let's be honest, best superhero film of 2018,
yep.
has won Oscar, 85 wins, and 61 nominations total. Black Panther has won three Oscars, 123 wins, and 289 nominations. Right.
Oh my
Even
God.
if you think Black Panther is a good film, tell me if it's worthy of that caliber of play. It
Not a
isn't.
chance. Right.
I,
I remember watching this film with a mate of mine, and we were whispering to each other as the film went on what we thought would happen next because of how predictable the film was. It was like ridiculously predictable. And it just sucked all the fun out of it because it was like the most generic thing ever. And then like I think people started comparing it to The Lion King as well. It was just bad.
I'm all for like the casting. I thought the casting was incredible. Like I just thought the story
Yeah, I
was
wouldn't
the
bash the
most
cast.
basic like superhero wishy-washy crap you can like. I think the stage I would argue that it was the first MCU film I saw that was almost like the trend of here's what the
Yeah,
visual effects artists are being put under pressure because it since and I don't blame the visual
like the
effects
fight
artists
scene at the
themselves.
end when they were
Oh,
like,
it's terrible.
yeah,
And I just feel like I'm never going to bash the visual effects artists who work on these films because they're amazing, talented, and they're under pressure of the studio
they are
ultimately.
put through too much work and are paid too little for what they do.
But yeah, from what I can remember, I think it's like the most basic film Marvel has ever done. I mean, it's just got no richness
It
to
was
it. I
it
actually,
was the same problem I had with the Captain Marvel film, although I think that had a couple more problems as well, such as there being no character arc or development throughout the whole of that. Uh
mm,
yeah, but
but yeah,
yeah, it was just so basic.
but it's not. It's and even if you think it's a good film, it's not like Oscar worthy in the absolute slightest.
No, no. I mean, what Oscars did it win again? Like, what were the
I've
Oscars it
got the
won?
list up. I've got the list up.
Don't tell me it won Best Picture.
No, I did win Best Picture. Well, if that's the case, I'm changing my answer. Just when I need IMDb to work, the internet is crashing on me. So, whilst we do that, do you want to? Have you got another pick you wanted to give a shout
Well,
out to?
Uh, I think I do have a couple more, but whilst we're on the topic of Marvel, I'll bring up Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Not a
This is
fan.
what we wanted.
I'm not a fan. Can't lie. I did not like them.
Yeah, go on, tell us.
Again, I think it was literally just like because there were so many like plot holes and stuff that just didn't make any sense whatsoever that like you could just think about it for like a few seconds and it just ruined it for me. Like I remember in Infinity War, there was a moment when Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy were on their ship because he'd just been rescued by them. And Thor was like, "Oh, Herder, I'm gonna go and kill Thanos. I need to make a weapon that will kill
Yeah,
Thanos." And they were like, "Oh, we need to stop Thanos collecting the Infinity Stones." And so they decided, okay, we're going to split up into two groups. We're going to have one group go with Thor, the most powerful being in the Marvel universe, travel to a distant corner of isolated space to build a weapon strong and powerful enough to kill him in one hit. And we're going to have another team go directly to just confront Thanos for some reason, even though he's already got like two Infinity Stones, and they've just got what, like some pistols and
mhm,
Mantis. And they decided that Rocket and Groot should be the ones to go with Thor, and Gamora, the one person they knew who had the location of the Soul Stone should go to confront Thanos. Like, what? Surely you would keep Gamora as physically far away from Thanos as possible. Like, why wouldn't she be the one you choose to go with Thor? Again, the strongest guy, again, to a random part of the universe, millions of thousands of miles away. where they're building a weapon that can kill him. What? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It can't. Um, yeah, and then it was just similar stuff in Endgame, like the whole time travel thing didn't make sense if you think about it. And then some people, I remember they tried to like say that it did, but it just doesn't. I remember there's like a quote that the Hulk says about time travel, and it's
Yeah.
literally just gobbledygook. Like I don't know who wrote this bit of dialogue, but it's honestly it's just gobbledygook. Like here we go. If you travel back into your own past, that destination becomes your future, and your former present becomes the past, which can't now be changed because it's your new future. Like, and he says it, and he's like, even the characters themselves in the movie are just like, what? Uh, yeah, and then I, d-
Yeah.
I don't know. There was just so much plot holes in that film. It was nuts. And then I feel like Thanos abandoned his entire like thing that he had going on in the first one where like, oh, I don't like it, but I've got to do it because it's what's best for the
Mm.
universe. And he just turned into I'm evil now. I take enjoyment out of killing people. Woohoo. Um, like sure it had a lot of sort of spectacle to it, like Cap wielding the Mjolnir and stuff like that. But then at the same time, they completely destroyed Thor's entire character arc in that film alone. Like his entire thing that he had going on from Thor 1 through to Ragnarok, all of that just erased in a
Yeah.
single film, and then made even worse with the release of Thor: Love and Thunder.
No, oh God, don't get.
Yeah, that's a whole other ball and chain. But yeah, I won't go into all of them, but basically for those reasons, that's why I'm not a big fan of Infinity War and Endgame.
I can understand that, to be fair. It's very valid. I think with a lot of these films, I think we said this today on the Doctor Who podcast. I think when you start to critically dissect them to death, that's when you're going to start finding a lot at fault.
Yeah, I'm guilty of doing that. Could be considered nitpicky, but I don't know.
Mm.
That's just me.
Yeah, I got one more pick. I mean, I don't remember it 'cause I haven't seen it in years, but I thought Star Wars: The Force Awakens is massively overrated as well.
Well, it's just that
The
it's just
retread,
yeah, like it's just a new hope again.
it didn't anger me as much as Black Panther did with all like the awards claim and stuff. But I mean, like, I just thought it was very, again, basic, oddly.
Yeah, it really was. It was just retreading old ground. There wasn't much more to say about it. I wasn't that Rey's character was just kind of eh. Kylo's character was also just kind of it could be interesting. They didn't do that much with it, and I felt like they tried to in The Last Jedi, but that film was also just god awful. And then Rise of the Skywalker, yeah.
No, no
I
worse.
don't know, the sequels as a trilogy just
Yeah.
yeah. I've got
I
two
think,
more.
yeah, go
Uh
on. Let's hear them.
um
I think this is going to be long enough, is
I feel like
it?
a lot of people hold it in high praise, but The Shining,
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen
I'm
it.
not a fan of that because I've read the book, and the
Yeah.
book
Yeah.
was about like alcoholism and sort of the fear of being trapped alone, isolated from the world, with your husband who literally could snap at any moment and strike you. Because like in the book, he broke his tiny son's arm at one point, like when he was like 4 or something. Um, but in The Shining, it was just all ghosties. Look at the twins down the corridor, and like it was still part of the book. Don't get me wrong. Like you had the woman in 237, and there was some stuff, but it definitely wasn't the focus of it. And so I feel like uh they definitely took it should have been part of the film, which is why I really enjoyed Doctor Sleep because
Yeah.
it was a central part of Doctor Sleep. He was an alcoholic
Yeah.
sort of repeating sort of like a parallel to his father.
Mm.
Um, and I just feel like it was done much, 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 much better.
Mm.
And the only other one I got written down for this is The Northman. I
Yeah,
hated that film so much. I thought it was so terrible. Aesthetically, style, like as far as style
yeah.
goes, it was great. Like visually, it was awesome. I cannot bash it for that. I can't remember the soundtrack, but I don't remember being disappointed by that either. It was the story that I did not like. Um, like, yeah, you had your basic revenge plot, which is great. Don't mind, sure, why not? But then you had Anya Taylor-Joy's character, which I feel like she didn't even have a character. I feel like she was basically just used as a just like a sex object. I feel like that's all she did in that whole film. I feel like that was just it. That was like all she contributed was like just love interest, and then she did nothing else.
Yeah.
And then for large portions of it, you just didn't really know what was going on. Like it was all sort of trippy and surreal to do with like the gods or whatever, which is fine I guess because that was just it being stylish with its Viking type setting. But then there was the fight at the end where like
I
they
didn't
were
like
on
the
top of
fight at
that
the end.
volcano, and I remember like the bad guy was about to kill him, and then the good guy was like kneeling on the ground, and he just started like screaming. He started like hyping himself up. He was like, ah! And he was screaming for a solid like 30 seconds. And I was literally just sat there thinking, how is the bad guy not just he just killed him? Why is he letting him like hype
Mm,
himself up and like what? You should be dead. You should be dead. It's
yeah.
like in films when the trope where like the bad guy has the good guy at gunpoint. This happened in No Time to Die, actually. The
Yeah.
bad guy had James Bond at gunpoint. He could have just shot him dead then and there, but no, he walks towards him with the gun, allowing him a chance to like grab it off of him. Like why would you just shoot him, man?
No,
Just
no, I think I know the moment you're on about as well in no time.
yeah, literally. I was just like, why? You've got a gun. That's what a gun's for. It's ranged.
Yeah. I thought the
Uh,
North one was I thought the North one was alright personally. I hate it. I think
yeah.
I've got one more. I just spontaneously has come to me, and
Okay.
the people on my uni course know this. It was from last year, and it was a little film called Barbie.
Yeah.
God, I think we watched a very different film to other people. I feel like with its point, okay, amazingly, I loved the whole visualization of Barbie world. I think that was amazing. I thought performances were excellent. Gosling steals the show, probably more, too much. I mean, I'm just Kenny's. Like, have you seen his performance at the Oscars that he did that?
Yeah. Oh no, it's
That was
brilliant.
really good.
It was brilliant. I mean, that song, it was iconic. Everyone was singing it. My friends were singing it. I joined like an Xbox party and everyone would just be going, I'm just kidding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a banger of a song.
As for the film itself, I just thought it was a little bit too on the nose of having to shout out like its points on sort of mixing genders together and sort of like it was just I don't know, it just felt a bit it was a little bit on the nose for my liking the screenplay personally.
I can get that. I think I didn't have much of a problem with that itself. My problem with it, like I enjoyed it right up until the end. I just didn't like the ending.
Yeah, I didn't like the ending
Because
either.
I feel like they went through this whole journey and learned all this stuff. And then at the end, everything basically just reverted back to how it was at the start. Like
It did, didn't it?
Ireland is basically just back to exactly how it was before. And as far as the real world goes, they made a new Barbie doll that looks like, like messy and like average, and that was it. Which, I guess is like, tied to how they were sort of talking about like, body image and stuff like that, how it can like ruin girls' self-esteem. So there's that, I guess, but I don't know. I just felt like overall nothing really happened. And if you think about it, the only people that profited in the story was the executives, was the head of Mattel.
Yeah, Sal's going
He was
right
just
up, literally.
raking it in at the end of the film. He was loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, hell yeah. I'm making loads of money off this new Barbie doll. Like the
Um,
Kens just kind of went back to doing what they were doing before. Like I thought, like at the end of Barbie, they'd like realized that they should both, like have not necessarily have equal roles, but like they both shouldn't just be set to like, you know what I mean? Because they were just like beach bums, and throughout the film they realized that they didn't want to just be beach bums, and then at the end they're like, nah, we'll just be beach bums. And it was like, oh, I
Yeah.
think my only other issue with the ending as well was like it was very just sort of talky. It was like it was like
Mm.
20 minutes straight of just people
People
talking.
explaining the plot.
Yeah. But yeah, those are my only issues with the film,
Yeah. I
personally.
think, I think, should we move on to category two?
Yeah, yeah,
We spent that long with category one. It's like what category two is a lot more positive. I'm intrigued for this. It's the best film from a franchise that wouldn't be considered the best. I think obviously we see a lot of rankings and stuff on YouTube. It's sort of like the wild card pick for best film in a franchise. I'd like to say this is.
yeah.
I wrote
Uh,
three down for this.
I've got four. I wrote four down.
Yeah, I know you got. I know you kick off. Yeah.
I'll kick off. Okay. The first one I've got down is The World's End from the Cornetto trilogy.
Yes.
I personally think that's the best of the three. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I love all of them. They're all
Yeah. That's a really. I like
they're
that.
so good. I love all of them. They're brilliant. Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz is usually the one that people place
Yeah. Hot
top.
Fuzz is mine. Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, it is The World's End. I don't know. There's just something about the story of like his character. He's like stuck in the past, living his glory days when he's a teen, and it's I don't know, like the parallels between what they're doing in the present and the past, and him sort of overcoming it all. And then I also just find it very funny. I think it's a very funny
It's
film.
funny. It's so.
I mean,
It's
they're all very funny. Like Edgar Wright is his direction. I don't know.
it,
It's just
it,
hilarious.
he understands comedy, he understands horror, and he understands friendship, and that's what the World's End really sort of encapsulates. I love the World's End. It was the first one I watched of the three, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I loved it. I knew nothing going in. I just kind of got it as a Blu-ray for Christmas one year, and I watched it, and I thought it was amazing. Like the genre blending is impeccable.
Yeah, because all of them do. And you got Shaun of the Dead, which is like is a run of your mill thing, and then boom, now it's a zombie film. Or you got a cop drama, or now it's like a murder mystery conspiracy type thing. And then, they're visiting their old hometown, and next thing you know, it's a sci-fi alien survival film.
It is really good. It's just that th those dynamics are incredible, and it's just every time Nick Frost orders the tap water, that just bit gets me every time.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like how they progressively get more drunk as it goes on, and it just gets more stupid.
It is amazing. Very good choice. I'd say probably it's my second favorite of the trilogy.
Yeah,
So
I think I would probably rank it
reverse
World's End,
chronological.
Hot Fuzz, Shaun
Yeah,
of the Dead. But I
yeah.
I love all three. They're so good. They're so good.
I know. You totally. I think they're all five-star films, personally.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So
100%.
I like that one a lot. So first pick for me, I'm gonna go with the Evil Dead remake as the best of the Evil Dead films.
Ah, yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Evil Dead, but I saw
Yeah,
Evil Dead
you saw the new
Rise.
one, which I did the whole week. I watched the Evil Dead films because I was going to see Evil Dead Rise on a press screening. I think we've discussed my thoughts on that because I was very underwhelmed with that. But the Evil Dead remake, I thought was absolutely invigorating, and it took out what I think doesn't work about the originals and made the horror the pure focus. The comedy, I think, is very interchangeable at times in the Evil Dead original films, but this is just an absolute gore fest.
Yeah, because
It's chaos.
they made that one series, didn't they? Was it Tucker Carlson versus the Evil Dead or something like that, which was purely just like a comedy thing, I
Yeah, I
think. I
haven't
haven't
seen
seen
that.
it. No,
Yeah.
no, neither have I.
And
Yeah, that's
I,
interesting.
I think when I watched it, it's directed by Fede Alvarez, who's doing the new Alien film, and he did Don't Breathe, which I loved as well.
Don't
I
Breathe was good.
at the final act of the Evil Dead remake, I have never felt so on the edge of my seat and invigorated, rooting for the actual final girl to win, because the
Mm,
way the fight is done is so like there's a lot of blood on the screen, but
that's what you love.
it's Carnage Fest, and I will acknowledge that it maybe has to rely on tropes to get to that ending, but I thought it was amazing. I thought Jane Levy, who was also the lead in Don't Breathe, is incredible. One of the best final girls of the last decade, I'd argue, which is
Mm.
probably really good. But even though it's just such an exciting film ride, and that is one of my choices.
The second one I've got is to do with the Pirates of the Caribbean films. I think
Yeah, my memory's really vague of these.
everyone rates I think the first one to be the best one, which is pretty standard, I guess. For me, the second one, I love Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. That's my favorite of the, I'm gonna say three, the Gore Verbinski trilogy. I
Yeah, you
don't
can say that about a lot of
recognize,
factors.
I don't
Yeah,
recognize the rest of them as having existed. Um, yeah, I just think, if your memory's struggling, I won't explain much, but
yeah,
the characters, there's a lot more going on. Each of them have their own sort of agendas. They all want certain things. Um, and I think it's all just spliced together into a singular plot that then sort of continues into At World's End. Like, I think the best way to view, like, it's basically like a two-parter almost. Um, and then I think on top of that is also just the whole character that is Bill Nighy's Davy Jones. I think
okay.
is so brilliant. And the CGI in that film, and as well
Yeah.
as at World's End, is so impeccable. It holds up to this day and puts most films to shame. It's that good, and it was made like 18 years ago or 20 years ago. I don't even know.
Hmm. Nah, it's a good choice. I think people just need to understand like how many films I watch for a living. If franchises are vague memory, it's just it's really easy to do. I'll go with my next pick though, which is probably my like favorite pick of the three. I'll save the third till the end because I think it's really a test to me. I'm
Yep.
gonna go with the best Harry Potter film. I think is The Order of the Phoenix.
Really?
Yes,
What? Okay.
that's a hot line in your.
I would never would have thought of that. Order of the Fear. Okay.
No, I did a case study for this actually as part of like I've been looking at how dialogue almost it changes when you hear it from a younger perspective, and I had the most lines to say out of this. I think it's a really powerful reminiscence on memory. It's a real interesting look as to what the threat of Voldemort is going to look like in the upcoming films,
Yeah.
particularly. I think it's just I love the whole morality question of it in terms of the ethics of do you use magic outside or can you when Harry's obviously interrogated for what he's done. I think I him being the dark arts teacher, I thought was it's incredibly well written. Just the way he sort of, I think it's probably the strongest group dynamic because obviously you've got everyone in that big final act, and you've got probably two of my best cinematic moments in that film, which is the Dumbledore versus Voldemort fight, which takes my breath away. And probably the best bit of Daniel Radcliffe's acting in all eight films, when he gets possessed by Voldemort and he has to fight him out of his mind. And he says,
Yeah, I forgot about
yeah,
that.
you'll never know love or friendship, and I feel sorry for you.
It was
That
it
is just,
I feel like most people say that Azkaban is probably their favorite of the
yeah,
series. I think
I think
Azkaban's a fan favorite.
Phoenix,
Order
I
of the
think is,
Phoenix is good. I think Order of the Phoenix is the one that's hit me the hardest now that I think about it, because when Sirius dies at the end, spoilers.
oh, and they're in that duel, and he says, nice one, James. I love that nuance.
Yeah, so that definitely hit me the hardest out of all of the films. So I can understand it, to be fair. Did you know as well, when he punches Malfoy's dad in that film, it was
Yeah,
improvised. Like, that
no,
wasn't
I
in the
didn't actually.
script. There's like a video you can see of um Gary Oldman, forgot his name for a second, like suggesting it was like, what if I punch him? It's like I feel like my character would punch him, and then they go with
And I
it.
think it's probably as well like the one film where you hate oh well, I'm blanking on her name, the new female teacher played by Imelda Staunton, who I'm blanking on her name now, but
Uh,
the one who tortured Harry,
Umbridge.
yeah, that's it. I can think of her name. That's how much I love the film. Umbridge, I think you meant to hate that character immediately, and I think they really captured the essence of. making someone more unlikable than Voldemort, and he
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bizarrely. But it's
It would
also
have
kind of
been
the
even
fact,
more of a hot take if you said I was gonna say Hot Blood Prince. Is it Cold Blood Prince? No, the
half-blood,
Half Blood
half-blood.
Prince. Half Blood Prince. Sorry, yeah. I think that's probably the one that people rank the lowest because it's just kind of setting up the Deathly Hallows, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Order just does an incredible job of sort of laying the groundwork for these last few films. I think maybe
Yeah.
Half-Blood Prince does it again, but maybe not as good.
It's just sort of introducing Horcruxes, really,
And
like, and
the
then the death of Dumbledore.
first film we saw, Luna Lovegood, who I thought was an incredible character in this. I've got a
Yeah.
fly going around my pot.
No, I love the Harry Potter films. They're brilliant. It's like every Christmas you end up rewatching them on the TV. They always come on.
I went to see it in cinemas last year, and that's when it just kind of solidified it as the best. I just came out of it thinking it's a flat out masterpiece,
Um, the other one I've got is from the Hannibal Lecter films.
which I've never seen these. Still,
Everyone probably very rightfully thinks that Silence of the Lambs is the best one.
okay, yeah, I
I
like
pr-
him this.
I like Red Dragon,
Oh,
which is
that's interesting.
which is like a prequel to it. Um, I can't really say like obviously the Silence of the Lambs is brilliant. It's definitely just like there's nothing wrong with these films. It's more of just like a personal preference thing.
Yeah,
But I found the serial killer in Red Dragon, played by Ralph Fiennes, to be a bit more compelling than Buffalo Bill, uh, who was in The Silence of the Lambs. He has like this whole dynamic with this blind woman,
mm,
um,
yeah,
who he works with, because I think if I recall correctly, a big motivation for why he's killing people is because he thinks he's like really ugly. And this blind woman fancies him, and uh the Red Dragon, which is basically a fiction, it's like a thing telling him to kill people, tells him to kill this girl that fancies him, and he kind of likes her, and they like go on a date at one point, and he doesn't want to do it, and I don't
yeah.
know, there was just a whole dynamic between them I thought was really cool. Whereas Buffalo Bill was basically just nuts. But he was hilarious. Buffalo Bill, he was great. And then obviously, as always, Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal is great. And then obviously you also had Edward Norton playing Will Graham,
Yeah.
um, which was good, which was good. Yeah. And then it obviously goes literally straight into Silence of the Lambs. But that's why I like it. That's why I think I
And that is,
prefer it.
we may see you discuss that later on another category.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. My last one. You really sold that to me, actually. I do need to watch Hannibal Lecter film.
They
I've
are
never
good.
gone.
They're very good. I think the weakest one for me is definitely the sequel one, which has Gary Oldman in it. What do you know? We were just talking about him. Which is just called Hannibal.
Yeah,
Oh no, wait, no. There's like an even prequel
yeah, there is.
of when
Yeah,
Hannibal's a kid. I've seen
that
that.
Hannibal Rising or something.
Hannibal Rises, yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, to be fair, that's probably the weakest one. Now that
Possibly
I think
so.
about it, that's probably the weakest one.
No, I definitely think give those a watch. And my final choice, I promise I'm not sponsored by DC, is can you see it? Best Batman film.
Best Batman film over
You're
Dark
better than
Knight.
Dark Knight, yeah. Yeah,
Damn.
I've thought about this for a very long time. I think many people at uni will be wound up to death about how much I've spoken about the Batman, but to say the basic performances are exceptional. I love Robert Pattinson. I think he really captures the essence of how like Bruce Wayne essentially is being consumed by the Batman. That identity crisis is really well portrayed. I love the Riddler. I think on multiple viewings you understand his complexities even more, and he's not really a villain at all in my eyes. I can understand both points of view really well.
Hmm.
I just enjoy the whole mystery aspect. I love the slow burn nature. I think that works incredibly well on the home screen as well.
Yeah.
The soundtrack's incredible. Cinematography is just breathtaking. I'm literally splitting hairs between Batman and Dark Knight. It's just a personal preference.
That makes sense. I think for me, I really enjoyed The Batman. It was a really good film. It also reminded me a lot of the games, which I also love. I think for me, the only thing that puts The Dark Knight over it is its length.
And then,
I really enjoy the Batman, but basically, as soon as he stops the Riddler and is escorting everyone out of the flooded arena,
yeah,
I just there's still like 20 minutes left. And
I've got the points in
I
that
usually
list.
just turn it off. I feel like I've seen what I want. There we go.
Yeah. No, I think it's a masterpiece. So genuinely, I think like for the cast they've nailed, it's one of the best like cast superhero productions in years. I'd argue. Like everyone
100%.
from top to bottom. Colin
Everyone was great.
Farrell is incredible.
Yeah, I mean he's got his own Penguin series now.
Yeah, that's coming out September. I think I'm gonna actually watch that. I think because I'm
It
not excited for
sounds
part two.
interesting. It sounds interesting.
But yeah,
Um, I'm excited to see. I forget the actor's name, but he's going to be playing the Joker. He was in like a deleted scene. I don't know if you saw that.
yeah, Barry Keegan,
Barry
who was in
Keegan. That's it.
Salt, who we know best from Saltburn.
Saltburn.
Won't go.
That's another one I didn't like that much. But
Yeah,
uh, he was also in Banshees of Inisherin. He's in loads of stuff.
he was great in that. Right.
Yeah, he was in loads of stuff.
But yeah, no,
Um,
best scene from the Batman for me, which I've now found on rewatch, is that prison confrontation where you think the Riddler's worked out who Batman's identity is. I think the performances there are just breathtaking.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
the strip back the action from that film, where just the character work in it, I think is jaw dropping, which is just personal preference, I know. It's
And the
splitting hairs as
aesthetics
we've
of it,
discussed.
it is good. It's really good.
What's
I
your last pick for this category?
I I, I can't really explain it, uh, but Back to the Future 2 is my favorite of the three. I
It
can't
is a
really.
very good fit. All three, I think, are like the trilogy is one of the I would consider to be one of the best of all time. It's just that not many people would say that.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know, man. I just find it fun.
Yeah,
It's not really one I can like justify with an explanation other than just I
yeah.
think it's really fun.
I definitely would like to rewatch the Back to the Future films at some point. That's just like childhood nostalgia that kind of got me
Mm.
into films in the first place. Have you seen the musical's got rave reviews in London? Like I've thought about
There's a
seeing it.
musical of it.
Yeah, in London. You didn't know?
I did
Have you
not
been
know
living
that.
under a rock for the last few
I
months?
clearly have. I clearly
Yeah.
have. I had no
But
idea.
it has got great reviews from everyone who I know has seen it. So, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll move on to the
Should
next one if you
move on to the next one.
want. Yeah.
I haven't got many options for this. I mean, I've pretty much got one, but this is the film that got slated that we actually thought was all right. Should I go with my pick? Because this is going to be
Yeah,
hard.
go your pick. I've got one. It's not really two, but three, four, five, six.
Yes. This could be a long pause.
Yeah,
Go my
yeah.
one. Uh, okay. Don't worry, darling.
Oh, okay. I can't really say anything because I haven't seen
So
it.
I
I
will talk like we'll talk vaguely about this then. So I feel like everyone went into this sort of like crapping on Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde for what happened. But if
yeah.
you remove all that from the actual film itself, it's actually pretty damn compelling. Like it's very much so it's obviously about the story of the young couple who are living in this like 1950s, 60s world. It's very much the men go to work, the women stay at home during the day. I won't
I
say
know.
much.
I do actually know the plot. Like I remember watching reviews of it, so I do know what happens
Yeah, it
vaguely.
reminded me a lot of Last Night in Soho as well.
Mm.
Probably not nowhere near as good.
I think the only thing I heard people say about it, uh, why like they didn't think it was good, was they thought um it was a bit predictable.
Yeah, yeah. I think the twist when it happens, you could definitely work out what was going on.
Yeah.
I still really enjoyed it though. I
I
thought followed.
think there was something about, and again, I'm just sort of going off what people have said. Uh, something to do with like a plane, and the plane wasn't even relevant at all. You'll
No,
know what I'm talking
I've
about. I
got a
don't
theory
know.
about I've got a theory about the red plane, and
Oh,
yeah, I can't really yeah, that's an off-air conversation.
another conversation. Okay.
But no,
And
I really
then
enjoyed it.
I don't know. And I think the only other thing people said was, how prominent is Chris Pine as a villain?
He pops up every now and again. It's a bigger question of like who Styles' his character really is. And I'm going to be honest with Styles, he's
Oh,
not a bad
okay.
actor. He's not a bad actor.
I mean,
Like
he did
I've
fine
seen
in
way,
Dunkirk, which I've
yeah,
seen him in.
I've seen way worse. Like I think people just went into that ready to hate on him, and me and my mate came
Yeah,
out
no,
of
it
it with
sucks
this
because,
thing.
like, you got like people from WWE coming in and doing just fine in, films like John Cena, Dave Bautista, and The Rock.
But Dave Bautista's got better range than The Rock by a landslide.
Oh, by a landslide. Obviously, I'm not saying they're all on equal footing,
Yeah, I feel
but
like
I'm just saying
yeah,
like I mean, they're all in films. They're all doing fine.
I feel like it's really a scenario where you sort of have to judge by the actual film itself and not judge sort of the controversies around a film sometimes.
Yeah.
So that is probably my pick, and I'll let you rattle off some films while I see if I can think of any more.
Uh, so the first one was heavily slated at the time of its release. Today, it definitely has a lot more love going for it. So I don't know like its stance today. I don't know what your stance is on it, but Spider-Man 3 from the
I think it's good as well.
you think it's good as well?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I think
I really enjoyed that. I thought it was I don't know. Like I don't think it's the best of the trilogy. Obviously Spider-Man 2 is the
why
best,
not? Yeah.
but people shout on it when it came out, and I don't know. I thought it was fine. I thought it was great. The scene where Sandman like sort of learns his powers, like not a
Hmm.
word is said. CGI wise, it looks great, and it's like one of the most emotional like scenes of the film. Um, I just think it's really, really well done. His whole character was so good
Oh yeah, I think the performance is excellent,
with
genuinely.
his daughter, and then he like forgives him at the end. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. Um, I don't know how. In fact, no, actually, I'll skip that one. I don't think these get slated. The next one I've put is I don't know if you've seen John Carter.
I've never seen it, no.
It's a fa it's not that old, but I suppose it probably came out like 2000s-ish. It's a fantasy film, which typically do not do very well at all, and I don't think this one did very well. Um, but I remember watching it as a kid and really enjoying it. I thought it was quite a suspenseful film. Um, yeah, I thought it was good. The other one I've got is a lot of people slate them is the Hobbit trilogy.
Not. I just don't care for
You
those
just don't
things
care.
Middle Earth at all. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest sort of Tolkien fan, but I did enjoy the Hobbit trilogy. A lot of people shit on them. I enjoy them. I think they're fine. I think Battle of the Five Armies is definitely the weakest one, but I still enjoy them. I think they're good. The other one, which you definitely will have seen, well, there's another one after this, but I know you'll agree with me on the other one. Anyway, this one is when I first watched it, I genuinely really enjoyed Thor: The Dark World.
Don't think I've ever finished that film.
Yeah, a lot of people crap on it, and I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Like with
Hmm.
the whole dynamic between Thor and Loki in it. Um, and then I think people said that the villains were a bit generic, which is true, I guess. But I don't know. I just
Yeah.
still enjoyed it. And then the other one, which I know, I think it still gets a lot of praise critically, but I know a lot of sort of the audience wise, a lot of people did not like it. Was Tenet.
What the fuck did I figure that? I laughed at it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I love Tenet. I love Tenet. I think the plot is absolutely genius.
Yeah.
I think just all of it, like the cinematography, the characters, the sound. I think all of it's brilliant. I think sound, I can understand people critiquing, like, when they've got the masks on and it's a bit
Yeah.
muffled. I can get that. But I think everything else about it was brilliant, and I thought it was a great film.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really genius. One of known as like most genius screenplays he's written.
I
Like,
think it was such a bold move trying to make a film where like there's basically zero like character to it, like like development where you don't even get much insights into them as people. Because like the protagonist is that he doesn't even have a name. He's just protagonist.
yeah,
Which is why like the film was as fast paced as it was because he knew he had to keep it, you know, the story like moving, chugging along like a train, in order to keep people invested. Yeah. So that's my final
yeah.
pick for that one.
I've got two. They've just come to me. Like, I don't think they're perfect by any means, but I don't have like really issues. I'm gonna go with the Matrix 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Because and what sells them as opposed to the fourth one, which we saw together, is that you can come out of those films. There's actually a lot of memorability, like actual fight sequences in those films. The car chase in Matrix 2 is incredible, from what I can remember of it.
I remember from two, the main bit I enjoyed was the fight with the twins.
Oh, that was great.
Other than that, I don't recall enjoying much. I
No,
remember
I
there
did.
was
Yeah,
that guy, what was he called? Like the architect or something, and his entire dialogue, they must have just like used a thesaurus and got like synonyms for like the longest, most
yeah,
sophisticated sounding words. And then I watched Revolutions. That's the third one, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I don't know, like I enjoyed all of them, but I think the first one stands
Yeah, it
quite
does.
high
I do
above the
agree.
next two.
Yeah.
But
Um,
I mean, I'm just gonna forget the fourth one even exists.
I don't know, just no memorability to it at all.
It's like, what were they even thinking when they made it? I'm convinced like they didn't want to do it, and the studio just made them. There was actually a line in it. There was like it was like a meta line in it, like said by oh the actor that is from Mindhunter, and he's sort of playing the new version of
Oh,
Agent
Jonathan
Smith.
Groff. Jonathan, is it Jonathan Groff? Yeah,
Probably. He says
yeah,
it is like, oh, the studio have made us and we can't back out on our contracts. There's like a line like that in it, so I'm convinced they didn't even want to make this film.
yeah,
Similar to how, like in Spider-Man 3, Sam Raimi didn't want to include Venom, but the studio made him, so he specifically, intentionally chose who he thought would be the worst actor to play Venom, and sort of made that whole side of the story quite goofy because he didn't want to do it.
yeah, yeah. No, I think Spider-Man 3 is really good. It's definitely like sort of middle tier of my Spider-Man rankings, I would say. And but yeah, that's a really good one. Should we move on to a misunderstood gems now?
Yeah, I struggled with this one because I feel like it
I've
kind
got,
of
I think I've got
similar to
probably,
the last one.
yeah, I've got two here that I think
Okay.
I'll go with the first one. Alien 3.
Haven't seen Alien 3.
It's been a while since I have, but it was David Fincher's first ever film, and there was a lot
Oh,
of studio interference at the time. I think this scales it back to what made, well, I think Aliens is the best film, no question in the franchise, but I think it's a very good homage to the original Alien. I think it scales it back. It feels like almost like the equivalent of Logan in Ripley's story. I
okay.
think the extended cut is definitely worth watching. There's a lot, I think, to say in terms of loss and sort of there's like an actual POV of the xenomorph, which I thought was incredibly effective. I don't get the
Okay,
hate.
that sounds
I mean,
interesting.
I don't get the hate that this film has. I think it's a very interestingly paced film where the first half is a lot of character building, and then the second half is just standard all alien massacre stuff. But it felt very different to Aliens, which I really appreciated. I think it was a very different change of direction, which I think is what's needed when you come off something like as mad as Aliens. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think I've only seen the first one, and then I've seen Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
You haven't seen Aliens?
No, no,
Oh,
no,
you're
I
missing
haven't.
out. You are missing
Oh.
out.
There's so many films I've got to get around to watching. It's
Yeah,
honestly
so
ridiculous.
we are human at the end of the day.
Um, yeah. So for
That's
this one,
all.
I kind of struggled. So I was just sort of browsing around on Rotten Tomatoes, seeing what like got low. Because I was like looking around my letterbox and I was like, damn, a lot of these films that I like are just universally liked films. So
Yeah.
it was difficult. But I ended up choosing the Tom Cruise film Oblivion.
Interesting. I've only seen this once, and it was in cinemas about 10 years ago. So
I don't know. I wouldn't call it a gem. I think it's just another film that I enjoy that like people slated, really.
yeah,
I think all of these are. Um, I just think it's a very solid film. It's a
also
solid
really good
sci-fi
soundtrack.
film.
Good soundtrack by M83, I think, from what I
Yeah,
can
you got
remember.
Morgan Freeman, Tom Cruise. Yeah, I just think it's a very solid story. The ending was good.
I,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna go in my next one.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is my only other one. We saw this together. I'm gonna go with M. Night Shyamalan's Glass.
That's interesting. You probably
Yeah,
like that film more than I do.
I definitely did like the film more than you did, and I will heavily defend some of the choices made.
Eh,
You know what I just laughed about it? So I think I'm so used to just seeing all this big, blow up visual superhero films. This was probably the closest thing I've ever seen to an art house comic book movie, where it was all these three characters coming together. I loved setting it in the asylum and when they're all sort of interrogated together. I think that it's a performance masterclass.
Especially for
I mean,
McAvoy. McAvoy was
McAvoy,
insane in that film.
McAvoy is insane. Like, and I love seeing. I love the world of Unbreakable and Split, which is probably why I feel a
Yeah.
little bit biased. Just when McAvoy is changing personalities, that instinctively you would believe every single one.
I
It's one of the yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Unbreakable. I really enjoyed Split. Both of those great films. Glass, really enjoyed right up until
The
the
reveal.
the twist happened because I just feel like it's came out of nowhere. Like it just like happened. Like right before it happened, I think you saw a couple people have a tattoo. And you're
Yeah,
like, oh, why do they have a tattoo? And like 5 seconds later, next thing you know, all of the main characters, spoiler, are getting shot up and they're all just dead. And it's like, what the what? And then it gets revealed that like they're a super secret organization. That was like my only critique of the film, that the plot twist should have been foreshadowed a little better.
yeah. I think it's a really interesting one because I feel like almost you maybe didn't even need the twist in some essence. I think like having Paulson, because I think Paulson's actually pretty good in the film for what she's given. He's like this psychiatrist who's just make challenging them. Are they actually real or basically insane for
Yeah, because
thinking these
I
things?
was when watching it, I was like on the other side of the fence at several points throughout. Like I didn't know what to believe.
I liked the final fight between Kevin and what David. Yeah, that was really
Yeah.
good. I think especially because it builds to a final act that doesn't happen, which I think is quite a nice change.
Yeah, I suppose. But then I think that also just adds to like the 180 turn off a cliff. Like it subverts literally all expectations within a matter of like
I was really,
seconds.
I was really a big fan of seeing like what Dave is up to now. Like he's fighting crime with his son.
Yeah,
I love that whole
no, it
and
was good.
how they him and the Beast meet.
I remember
I like
like at the end of Split when it got revealed that it was all like in the same universe. Like everyone was like, what on earth?" It was like it was everywhere. People were talking about it. What's gonna happen?
No, this is a really good one for me. I think it's misunderstood. I think it's probably his best new one post like the visit, I'd say.
I mean, yeah, old was just kind of a
Up there with
bit,
Split. Up there with Split. I don't know if they're all kind of on equal levels. I enjoy all three for different reasons.
yeah. Um. The other one I've got, again, it's just another one I really enjoyed that didn't do too well critically, is Law-Abiding Citizen.
Ah, yeah, I did like that myself.
I really enjoyed that film. I thought it was great.
It has one of the most brutal, nice stabbing scenes I can remember.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah,
Do
I
you have a
just
thought
thought,
about who? Yeah, go for it.
oh, I was just gonna say, like,
Sorry.
it's like a big revenge fantasy almost. Um, where you're rooting for Gerard Butler's character. You really are. Or at least I was.
Yeah, I was.
Uh, and yeah, I think it was just very fun, like watching the whole thing play out.
Hmm.
And then I think it also probably did have some points about, you know, making deals with murderers in the justice system.
Yeah,
What were
I
you
was,
saying, sorry?
I was gonna say about Gerald Butler's performance in this because I normally think he's a very bad actor, but he's actually very good in this.
Yeah, he does it well. I'm trying to think of stuff he's in.
That has
I
fallen.
think I mentioned How to Train Your Dragon
Yeah.
earlier. He plays Stoic, the guy's dad. He's the voice of his dad in that. I know he's in a lot of rom-com type films. He's in a lot of action films.
Mm.
He is your typical sort of action hero, wooden actor though, isn't he?
Yeah, I can never tell whether he's doing a Scottish or American accent most of the time. I normally have to actually really listen in hard to what he's doing.
Probably also true.
It is good.
The only other one I've got is a comedy. Again, I just looking on Rotten Tomatoes, man. I really enjoy it called Rat Race. Don't know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't seen it.
People in it actually. John Cleese is in it. That one bloke from Garfield is in it, but I can't remember the name of. Not Bill
Mm.
Murray. Whoopi Goldberg is in it. Um, Rowan Atkinson is in it.
Yeah.
Basically, they're all just people who are in Las Vegas, and they've basically got to get to this city in New Mexico. Whoever gets there first wins $2 million, and chaos ensues. I think it's a hilarious film,
Mm.
personally. I laughed my ass off the first time I watched that. Like, I don't even know how old I was, probably like 10. And I rewatched it like a year ago, and I still found it very funny. Uh, but yeah.
Yeah. I think let's move on to this is a very interesting one. Franchise we would erase from existence. I'm gonna let you kick this off because I just want to get some
This is
film.
definitely is not a hot take, but the first one I've got is the Monsters universe that Tom Cruise was like starting up in the Mummy
It didn't even
films.
start.
It didn't even start. Like it was they wanted it to be a franchise and it never even went anywhere. So automatically that's just gone. Um
You know, mine, I don't know if this counts, but I'm going to argue Phase 4 of Marvel.
I that's my first one. I skipped ahead just to the Monsters one.
Phase 4,
But
yeah.
phase four, phase five, whatever. Anything post Endgame, get it gone.
I know
It,
it's inconsequential. I think the films now. There's no like dramatic levity to anything that's being done. It's all just it's the same formula
it's
of like people in
crappy
cos
writing, yeah.
a
It's
massive cosplay parade where people just hit each other at the end.
yeah,
It's like we
it's
don't care.
the films have just not been good post Endgame, apart from like one or two. Um, I think you could probably also say the same thing about DC. Like, because if you think about it, James Gunn right now is in essence rebooting the entire thing, which in itself is basically just deleting what we've already seen. So that's or
Yeah.
basically erasing quite literally the question. Like I think as far as the DC films go, from when Snyder was in charge, I think the only one I really enjoyed was Man of Steel.
I've got stuff to say on all three of those. Why didn't I pick them for Misunderstood James? Probably because I don't remember them that much, but I did like them all three of his trilogy.
Wait, what films are these? Sorry, trilogy.
Batman versus Superman and Justice League. The actual Justice League, though.
You mean is the Snyder cut version of it?
Yeah,
I
the
never got
Snyder
around
Cut.
to watching that. I saw it was 4 hours and decided I'd give it a miss.
Yeah.
I think considering how we've sort of been like, oh yeah, we wished it was deleted past a certain point. I'm gonna say the same thing about Pirates of the Caribbean. After the third one, they should have just stopped. I think they're still wanting to make them. Apparently, Margot Robbie is like gonna do like a spin-off or something. I don't know if Johnny Depp is coming back ever since that whole Amber Heard thing went down, but please stop. The Terminator films, I think, have also gone a bit off the rails.
Yeah.
Um, And then again, like just linking back to what we were saying earlier about them sort of reviving old franchises, like we spoke about The Matrix 4, get it gone. They're doing another Beetlejuice film, don't know how that's gonna go. And they're doing another Gladiator film, don't know how that's gonna go.
Yeah, yeah, I've got actually two that I would erase in their entirety.
Oh, okay.
Uh, first, well, this isn't really a hot take unless you're a real horror aficionado, but the Terrifier franchise. It is just there's no story. It's just a clown killing people, and I don't really
Yeah.
like it. It's very. If I want to see a clown killing people with substance, I will watch the It films, which are amazing.
Yeah, it's just the body horror, really. You know what I mean? It's just to see the gore. It's like it's for the same reason that people watch the Saw films, but although you could argue that Saw has a bit
Nah,
more going on.
you can't erase Saw
No,
now.
no, no,
I
I
think
would not
it's in
erase
a
Saw.
new phase now.
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't erase
Well,
Saw.
the other one well, like the original for sure. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Get them the frick out of here.
Yeah, I remember what I went back to watch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I wasn't a fan. I don't think it held up.
No, I don't think
I
it's
was really
like.
bored.
I think raising this, I think you've already got a really good use of chainsaw within Evil Dead. I don't know if you lose anything significantly if you erase this franchise from history because other people have done it in horror with chainsaws.
Mm. The only other ones I've got, well, I've got a few more. Um,
I really
I've
rearrange
just
it.
written down that Taken did not need to be a trilogy.
Oh, I agree on that. Well, Hangover.
Nah, to be fair, yeah, I think like I think Hangover 2 and 3 are good, but again, don't need to re they don't really need to do a trilogy. I think I would delete the entire of the Divergent franchise. All
The
three of
Hunger
them
Games
just gone.
ripoff.
Like honestly, because like it was like the whole phase of like sort of teen dystopia films. You
Yeah,
had Hunger Games, Divergent, Maze Runner,
yeah,
and like sure you could enjoy maybe the first Hunger Games is weird. I don't know. The first one's good, the second one's good, and after that it kind of just eh,
yeah,
like I don't know. It's a bit weird, but I think that's why the Hunger Games is basically the first one to do it. Divergent, I think the whole thing was just dumb. Why are you separating people into personalities? What? I don't know. I just thought the whole thing was dumb. Get it gone. Um, did you have any
it's a
more?
hard
Sorry.
category. No, it's a hard category, isn't it? You got to think about something significant in the
Uh,
world.
the other few I've got is the Resident Evil franchise.
Oh, I've never seen those.
I can't say I've seen many of them, but they're just nothing like the games. They're so ridiculous and out there. Just get them gone.
Yeah.
I wrote,
I got one. I've got a spontaneous one if you want.
yeah, no, go for it.
I think they should have stopped the Jason Bourne films after Ultimatum.
I've only seen the first Jason Bourne film, you know.
I didn't
Um,
like Legacy, and I thought Jason Bourne. You could tell they were trying to get it back.
yeah, because didn't Jeremy Renner like
I
take
didn't
center
like
stage on?
Legacy at all. Didn't like
Is
Legacy at
that
all.
Legacy? Oh right, yeah. I don't know what's going on with them. I've only seen the first one.
Yeah, it's worth watching the trilogy. Ultimatum is a masterpiece.
Uh, the only other one I wrote is Twilight.
I like, yeah.
Because
I'm shocked that I thought Twilight actually. I mean, the only thing I'll say of that is that look at what Robert Pattinson is now doing with his career.
true. Yeah, without Twilight, where would Robert Pattinson be?
Okay,
True.
good. Kristen Stewart, who was in Love Lies Bleeding recently. I don't know if you've heard of that film, which I saw. She was magnetic in that.
Mm, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I was just throwing it in there, just throwing it
Yeah.
in the pile.
So
And the
it's a hard, yeah, hard one. That hard
the
category.
the last one I got, which I don't know if you would get rid of them because they're kind of fun if you think about it. But your sort of Sharknado, Leprechaun type stuff.
The thing is, I've not seen any of those, so I didn't even consider. But I probably would get rid of them.
Like
If
realistically, you could get rid of them because they're all terrible films. But obviously, the intent is that they're terrible, so you can have fun watching them. But then again, like I swear there's like six Sharknado films now.
We have we have the Pooniverse coming out as well, so that's coming up.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
It's different. It's different.
It is different. It is different. Like I think as far as Leprechaun goes, you had like the first one, and then I swear he went to space or went to like the hood, and then he went to the hood again. I don't know, man. It was
Yeah,
they're
I
so
know, mate.
nuts.
Yeah,
Um,
it's I think it's nip and tuck. I think what you can argue for this, but I love how we had the same face for Marvel. That was the
yeah,
vibe.
literally the first one around Phase 4 of Marvel.
Yeah, let's move on to well, this could get ranting-ish. The director we want to quit making films.
You go first because I'm curious. You mentioned you wanted to rant earlier.
I've got one answer for this, and I haven't seen a lot of their work, but I'm going off what I've seen with their work, and I just think it is Family Guy have taken the piss out of this director, Wes Anderson.
You know what? I was considering writing that down. I was considering it. I was considering
I
it.
we so here's a little story. So Absolutely I Hated, won't go on about that. We watched one of his short films. I think it was. I'm just going to get the name of it up. I think it was the something the
The Grand Budapest Hotel,
no
or
yeah, the Darjeeling Limited. That's what we watched this in class actually.
ah,
And this was 13 minutes, and just the pinnacle of what this person is trying to say with their films is just downright pretentious nonsense. I it's so someone who's so focused on what is in the frame, I think,
on
that they lose essence of the characters. It
that's what.
goes for this.
Yeah, I'd agree with that to an extent. Like I enjoy some of his stuff. Like I enjoyed Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think that's a brilliant film. I haven't seen Isle of Dogs, but I heard people like that too. Um, but then as far as his other stuff goes, I don't know. Like I watched the Grand Budapest Hotel. It was alright. Like I wouldn't rant and rave about it. Like I feel when people think about Wes Anderson, it is his, his style that people, you know, that's like why people
Yeah,
like
I've got
appreciate him. But then I personally find most of his stories pretty boring. I never get that interested in them. Like I remember starting like the French Dispatch and what was that other one with I can't, I literally can't even remember the name. I always end up turning them off after like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I
I
just
think
get
it's
bored.
headbangingly boring. I mean, I think I said this to someone about this short film. Well, I think it's with his work, you have to do a lot of the heavy lifting yourself as a viewer, which when it's handed to you on a plate, I think is really quite demanding. And I don't think his films are universally accessible at all.
I
Now,
think
granted,
it's a
yeah,
similar criticism I had of I'm thinking of ending things,
yeah,
where like the sort of artsy fartsy sort of messages of it, like I like that in a film when it's done right. Like for example, I really enjoyed Cynic Doki New York, but
yeah,
I didn't like I'm Thinking of Ending Things because I'm Thinking of Ending Things was literally just two people talking philosophy in a car for like 2 hours straight. You know what I
uh,
mean? Like, but at the same time, I know people who enjoy that film. I did not like it.
yeah. Was there any other pick for you then on this, like your director of
Directors,
choice?
I want to quit making films. I've written, I've got three things that I've written down.
Right.
The first one, I don't know her name, but I've in capital letters, I've got whoever directed Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Yeah.
Genuinely one of the worst cinema experiences I think I've ever had. It was so
Yeah,
bad.
I saw it. Yeah, it's not a
That
good.
was
It's one of A24's
painful watch.
worst.
That was a painful watch. I hope they
Something
never make anything ever again. They did not cook with that film.
Okay,
Um,
I'll get you the name whilst you
yeah.
read off your.
The other one, I haven't got a specific name, but it's sort of just linking back to sort of our MCU talk because Disney are using a lot of just random directors I've never even heard of. I feel like a lot of them are new and just haven't even made any films at
Yeah,
all. Like there's nothing in their portfolios. In order to, they're using people like that to direct their ginormous $200 million budget. blockbusters, and that as as well as many other things that go into it, has got to be another reason why these films are just failing. Like the direction just isn't there.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you have heard much about the latest Star Wars series called The Acolyte,
Yeah, I know he's in it, but I don't know. No, not
but
the
that
direct.
is basically being hailed as the worst thing to ever come out of Star Wars. It's like universally hated by everyone, using a director who I think she previously was Harvey Weinstein's assistant, so that's
Okay.
a bit weird. Yeah, I don't know. So whatever Disney are doing, please stop and get like they said they wanted to like go a bit more like into quality assurance, but their actions speak otherwise. The My third choice is a name.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll agree with me on it, but I've put Zack Snyder.
No, I don't.
I
He needs
I
to
think
stop his slow motion, I'll tell you that.
oh my God, yeah. I haven't watched him, but I've not heard very good things about his Rebel Moon films.
Yeah, his director cuts coming out in August. I haven't seen them yet. I think I'm gonna battle it. I'm gonna watch the extended cuts.
Like, I don't know. I enjoyed 300. I enjoyed Man of Steel. I did not enjoy uh Batman versus Superman. I thought it was crap. I Justice League 4 hours. I haven't seen it, but why is it 4 hours?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be four
I
hours.
feel like it
I
doesn't need to be 4 hours. Automatically in my book, that's already like
yeah,
just yeah. Um, and then since then, I just feel like he's just not done many good films that have done well. I think he did like one called Army of the Dead,
yeah, that was all right.
which I
I
think
mean,
he did a prequel to it called Army of Thieves.
yeah, I
I
didn't
think
see the prequel.
I think both of them are just kind of like, yeah, it was all right. You know what I mean? And that was the most people had to say about them. And then obviously most recently you got the Rebel Moon. And I think it's just clear, like, I don't know. I just don't think he's got it. I just don't think he's got it anymore.
Think he's lost his edge. That's interesting.
I think he's lost his edge.
Yeah,
Uh,
I need to. I'll be the judge of that when I see Rebel Moon in August, the extended cuts.
you, I've not heard very good things.
I've not. I've heard enough from people on the call. Well, it's an extended cut, so I mean, how worse can it be? I mean, if you extended something, it's normally for a purpose.
Maybe you'll find out. You'll find
I will.
out.
I think it's like 6 hours, part one and part two combined. So I really like just need a bunch of caffeine that day. But yeah,
But yeah, that's what I got.
interesting choices. I think. So the next one, cancel an upcoming sequel or any future franchise plans.
I feel like let's just get it out of the way. We've both probably said the same thing. Again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but whatever the hell Disney's got lined up for Marvel and Star
Well,
Wars,
I'll tell you the specific title I'm going to cancel, and I don't know why it needs to be done again. Avengers 5.
they just need to stop, man, and do something more interesting. They bought X-Men and they just haven't done anything with it.
I know.
And think
I'm
about how
kind of worried what
popular.
they would. I'm kind of worried what they'll do with X-Men, to be honest.
I think it was just good to get that out the way. Um, so properly then, the first one I've got written down isn't a film. It's a TV show. Uh,
Okay.
it, I heard that Craig Mazin, who is the showrunner for The Last of Us, wants to make 4 seasons, which would mean that the second game would be 3 seasons worth.
Oh, jeez.
I don't, I don't understand how that is gonna work, considering the second game.
I'm intrigued by the second series. We definitely need to watch that together for sure.
Oh, please. To be fair, I heard that he's changing stuff from the game, which
Hmm.
is good. That is a right step. I did not. The story of the second game is genuinely terrible. It's awful. And no, not just because of that thing that happens right at the start that I don't want to spoil for him. Not just because of that. The whole thing is just terrible.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
Uh, yeah, so I don't know how you're gonna get 3 seasons out of it. So if it was, you know what I mean? I just thought it'd be like a 2 season thing. Maybe season two is 10 episodes with like longer episodes. Um, but yeah, that was what I wrote as my first one.
Yeah, my other one, I think just because it's had a lot of controversy. I don't know if you Scream 7
Okay.
because uh, obviously Melissa Barrera was fired for her comments on Palestine, then Jenna Ortega followed her shortly after, and now the director has left.
Yeah.
Nev Campbell is back, but I just feel like this production has had a lot of stuff go on in the background that has made me question what are they actually going to, did they actually know what they're doing with this new installment?
Yeah, it's a
And I'm a
trouble. It
big
kind of
Scream
gets into
fan.
like development hell, doesn't it?
I think there is something to be enjoyed in all six Scream films. I that like some of them are better than others, obviously, but I just think when this comes out, it's going to be really interesting to see like what happens. I don't think it needs to happen at all, to
It's
be
it's
honest. I
like it's like how like the only example that's coming to mind I think is like the Marvels where like it had like several different directors who all like abandoned the project and they didn't
I
know
didn't
what
know
they didn't know
that.
what was going on with it. Like it'd been delayed like 7 times and been like reshot 1,000 times. I don't know. It's stuff like that where you just don't even know what's happening with it anymore, and you'd think like all the creative vision is just lost.
Yeah, and I loved what Radio Silence did with the Scream 5 and Scream 6. They also did Radio Not of Abigail, which I also really enjoyed all four of their
Oh, they're
films.
great. They're great. I love those
I
films.
don't know. I feel like I don't want the classic essence to be lost, which is probably why I want to cancel because I just think like Melissa Barrera's not involved. She was amazing. She was
Mm,
amazing. Abigail as well. And General Ortega was like the rising star. And it's just like, should we really be doing this now? I'd rather wait, I think, probably more than anything with that film.
yeah, yeah. Another one I've got is Nintendo are planning on making a live action Zelda film. See,
I
I
didn't
don't
know
want to
this.
cancel it fully, right? I want to cancel it being live action. I don't
Okay.
want it. I think it needs
Right.
to be animated. I
Hmm.
can't see it being live action. And I swear to God, if Tom Holland stars as Link, I'm so fed up of like Tom Holland and Chris Pratt just being in
They're in
everything.
everything. Like, they're
I know, like
literally
I
in
don't know
every
what's
single
going on.
film.
I don't understand it. Like they're fine. They're you know what I mean. They're fine, but like don't give them everything. Yeah. Have you got any others?
No, that was it for me. That is
The
feeling
only
or
thing I've said is I've not got the best feeling about the Borderlands movie that's coming out. That doesn't look like
okay.
it's faithful at all to
I
the
forgot
game.
that was coming out, to be honest.
Yeah, like the casting looks awful.
It does. It does. Everyone looks like they're doing it for the paycheck, don't they?
It does. And then they've just got the whole feeling of it like it's almost sort of trying to be a rip-off of Guardians of the Galaxy. Like they had like some 70s song in the trailer. Like if you were being faithful to the games, you'd have had a song like Ain't No Rest for the Wicked or maybe something by the Heavy. So yeah, I don't think that's going to be good personally. Plus, they've got Krieg in it, which obviously you have no idea who that is, but he has a very, he is literally one of the most tragic characters in the series. His sort of backstory and the stuff going on with him is genuinely very saddening, and he's
Yeah.
got such a character arc all the way through to the third game, and it just does not look like they're going to do that justice at all, because a certain character is not present in this film that is very closely tied to him. The only other film I've not got the best feeling about is the Minecraft movie with Jack Black coming out.
Oh, no, he forgot that was a thing. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
he says he's going to sing in it. I don't know. I know it's going to be a kids' film, but I just don't understand that you can make a Minecraft movie. Like,
I
how's
think
that going to work?
you're just milking stuff for the sake of it. And
Yeah, it's literally just for money.
I don't think there's any other single coming out this year like Castle. I mean, I'm excited for a few. We've got a Quiet Place Day one coming up. Uh, actually, I'm seeing that Thursday night. Actually, I'm very excited for that.
Oh man, I didn't realize it was that close.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for it recently. It looks very good.
Mm.
Very good. Nothing really I'd cancel this year. Probably I would cancel Borderlands. I think it's going to be a chore to watch. I'll tell you that. That's maybe seeing it just so I can fit a target on my 200 one. But no, not looking forward to that at all. But on the positive side, is there a film that we would love to see remade, even if critically reviews might suggest otherwise?
This was the question because we said earlier. This is the one where I wrote down 1899 because I want to see it continued, not remade. I want to see it continued. I
Yeah,
just wanted to mention 1899. That show is so good. Genuinely one
yeah,
of the
it's so
best
good. I
things
agree.
I've seen in years. So brilliant. A film I don't think you'll have seen, and it's pretty perfect as it is. It's a very critically acclaimed film. It's animated. It's an old one, called Perfect Blue.
Never even heard of it.
It's it's about a so obviously it's Japanese.
Yeah, of course.
Um, and in Japan, things called pop idols are quite popular. They're sort of like singer girls, and yeah. And I guess the best way to describe it is the main character is this pop idol, this girl, and she wants to leave her sort of girl band group that she's a part of and sort of do her own thing. She doesn't want to be tied to her personality as pop idol anymore.
Yeah.
But there is uh this guy, a stalker, who genuinely has one of the most creepiest faces ever, and he's following her. But then as the film progresses, the lines start blurring between this main character and her life as a pop idol, and everything starts going a bit insane. And then the twist at the end is genuinely quite nuts. It's a really, really good film. I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah,
The
I think
only
yeah.
reason I would love to see it remade is because I think it'd be interesting to see the animation updated. To I'd sort of definitely keep the style and stuff the same. I just think it'd be cool to see what it would look like with, but I don't know. The animation it currently has is iconic at the same time, but
Mm.
I just thought it'd be interesting.
Yeah, you sold that to me. I really want to see that now. I'm just reading about it. It sounds insane.
It's a
Really
good,
is.
it is a good film. It's a
And it's
good film.
81 minutes as well, which is even better.
Yeah, no, it goes by quick.
It's okay. This is where it gets controversial now. Very controversial because have you seen Under Paris on Netflix, the shark film?
Under what?
Under Paris, the new shark film on Netflix.
No.
I think we're living in a world where there's been so many sort of shark movies that have just got the most pretentious characters. I mean, they're all about the shark action. There's no substance to them. Screw it. I want to see someone do Jaws. I want to see what if someone can replicate that terror back in 1976.
That's a
No.
yeah, that's a good shout actually. I think because obviously if you think about the effects back then compared to what they, I think it'd
Because
be a shame for them to fully use CGI. Like you think about like Jason Statham's Meg films, and yeah,
which
they're a
are
bit of silly
corny
fun,
nonsense. Yeah.
but yeah,
I feel like Jaws, I think, deserves a remake because I think it needs to prove that intelligent shark films can exist still.
it's like when I first watched Alien, I also thought that was pretty dated. I would love to
Mm.
see the first film basically the exact same way, but just updated with.
Well, you might see that in Alien Romulus, which is coming out August. I've not seen the trailer for that. I'm blinding on that.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. I'm aware of it, but I
Yeah,
just tend to stay away from trailers these
I'm staying
days.
away from it as well.
Um, the other stuff I've got, which isn't exactly a positive note, is certain adaptations which have just been extremely poor. They're
Mm.
not faithful at all, and the writing is god awful. So stuff like the Halo TV show,
Okay.
awful. Netflix adapted Cowboy Bebop, awful. Netflix tried to do The Witcher. That has become god
Yeah.
awful. It was like all right to start with, and then it just Jesus Christ. Netflix also tried to do a Resident Evil TV show, awful. Um, as well as like you got the Resident Evil films. Again, I don't understand when you've got the games like right there. Please, for the love of God, why? Well, I don't get why they find it so hard. I
Mm.
think Resident Evil has a couple of animated adaptations. I haven't seen those, so I can't speak about that. But I would love to see all of those adaptations done right. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just got a spontaneous one. It's critically maybe the best received, but I'm gonna go with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I don't know if critically that was maybe the
Yeah.
best success with the first. I think the first was probably the most critically regarded as the best, but I feel like it the film has the wrong focus in mind. I think Newt Scamander is by Grindelwald and Dumbledore, that relationship that's sort of hinted at throughout the Harry Potter films, needs to be the central focus. I would shy away from the source material in a remake and focus on them two.
I mean,
And
the source
obviously,
material is literally just a picture book,
I know it's
isn't it?
yeah. You don't need. I feel like an updated spin. I think would be really interesting. Going on to, I know, going back to cancel an upcoming sequel or franchise, cancel the Harry Potter TV series in a
Oh
heartbeat.
God, yeah. I don't know how that's gonna work. There's no way you can like make the Philosopher's Stone a whole like season long. What?
Yeah,
It's just not gonna work. The films are too iconic. Like maybe in 20 years, re give it another go.
yeah.
I feel like they will hold up just forever, really.
Well, do the Cursed Child for people who can't afford the London show. I've not read the Cursed Child. I've got the book.
No. You had Newt and the Beasts be the center of the first one, and then like if that was its own film and they decided to do prequels afterwards and Newt wasn't even in it, I feel like that would have been a
Yeah,
better way of
yeah.
doing it because there's usually no point of Newt even being there. I feel like he got sidelined in his own, basically his own trilogy, for the Dumbledore stuff to take center stage. Like I think they should have just made it like a separate thing, but yeah. The only other ones I've got for this is I don't know much about the books, but these are also films that didn't do the books faithfully, and I'd be very interested to see what a faithful adaptation would look like, which is World War Z.
Interesting. Yeah,
Apparently the book is really, really good, I've heard.
yeah.
The film is all right, you know, what I mean, it's not bad. It's I wouldn't say it's great, but it's solid. Um, It's definitely got some iconic moments, like when all the zombies are like piling on
Oh,
top of one
the
another.
wall scene was
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah, yeah. And I'd be interested also to see this is by Stephen King. Uh, and there's a few of these books. It's not just one book, it's kind of a series. The Dark Tower. I don't know if you ever watched that with Idris
I've seen the
Elba
film.
and Matthew McConaughey. The film was not good. The film was not good.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see that done faithfully and see how good that is.
I will get in towards the end of this now. This is probably, we'll say it's a hot take question, but there's not really many choices besides Star Wars. What's the best prequel in your opinion?
Monsters University.
The only answer.
No, I do have a few, but
You'll have Red Dragon on that list for sure.
yeah, Red Dragon's on the list. Red Dragon's on the list. But I already spoke about that earlier, so I won't talk about that one much
Yeah.
more. But Monsters University was the one that like instantly came to my mind. I think that surpasses Monsters Inc. And Monsters Inc. is a great film, but I think University's
Oh,
better.
guess out. No, it isn't. It's not.
I think it's better. I think it's so good.
Oh, well, I think it's good, but I
I
don't think
think like
it's.
their character arcs and like their ending, I just think it's all so well done.
Mm.
I was on the edge of my seat when like they were trapped in the human world and he's gotta like scare all
It
the
was
adults.
it was very heartwarming. I'll say that. I think the dynamic of Mike and Sully, I think, is always going to be good no matter what, really.
Mm, yeah, yeah, and then you had like Randall and yeah, I loved that film. I thought it was great. Uh, did you have
I'll
one?
go.
Sorry. Yeah.
Uh, I'll go. Okay, I didn't write this down, but from last, I'm thinking two from last year, which is no bias at all. But I'm going to go with the Hunger Games: Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
I've literally got written down, ask Matt about Hunger Games prequel. Because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet.
I think it's the best one since the original, I'd argue. I think it's a really different kind of Hunger Games film where you're very much looking at the transition of evil through Snow. I think Tom Bliff, who plays Snow, is absolutely incredible, as is Rachel Zegler, who plays one of the participants. I think it's very much their relationship is sort of develops throughout the film, and you see it through these three different chapters of time.
Yeah.
The actual Hunger Games sequences, I mean, I saw this on probably one of the biggest IMAX screens possible, so there might be a little bias, but
Yeah.
uh, the Hunger Games sequence was at jaw dropping. Great performance. Rachel Zegler's in it, who's in West Side Story. This one is really interesting. It's a standalone story, which is what is missing. I love these spin-offs.
The other prequel you'll have seen that's recent that I won't is Furiosa. I don't know
Yeah,
how that
yeah,
holds up.
that's on my best prequels.
Oh,
I
is
think it's
it? There you
incredible.
go. Might as
I
well
think
just
it is.
take it away.
I think it is. I think Furious is incredible. It's a very different beast to Mad Max Fury Road. I know you're very much give or take on Fury Road, but I think both Fury Road and this exist in a very good ballpark for me.
Because I heard that it was good. I've not heard nothing but good things about Furiosa. But then at the same time, it's like the worst performing thing in the box office in like
It doesn't
30
deserve
years
to
or
be at
something.
all. Like
I'm convinced it's
it's
just because of like streaming and
it takes a very
prices and
interesting.
stuff.
It's a very interesting turn. I think it takes because in terms of the pacing, Anya doesn't show up for a while, and I really liked that move of focusing on the young Furiosa. You've got Chris Hemsworth as the Mentos, who actually I think he kind of relishes his role quite well. I think Anya's the
Mm,
best part of the film. I think her
yeah.
facial expressions say a lot. With I mean, her dialogue. I don't know if you've heard is kind of not that much. But I think again with the set pieces, honestly, there was a truck attack sequence in this film where I was genuinely like gripping the seat. I was that like, holy crap.
Uh,
I loved it's very got a lot to say on childhood. I think a lot as well during childhood, overcoming grief, trauma,
mm.
very much those themes. It's a very different beast. It's hard to compare to Fury Road, I'd argue in regards, but I thought it was incredible.
I definitely it's on my list. The Hunger Games prequel and that one are on my list to get around to eventually, for sure. Um, I've got a couple more for this. Uh, one that I've written down is the sort of Rise of the Planet of the Apes trilogy, because that's kind
Yeah.
of a prequel.
Yeah.
Because I think in the first one they reference that like the shuttle's gone up and it's like everything that happened before that film. I think that's a solid trilogy. I really enjoy those films.
All three are incredible. I know. War is was my favorite.
Yeah, I really enjoyed War. Um, and then what was the second one called? Was it
Dawn,
Dawn?
yeah. Rise,
Dawn.
Dawn, yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Dawn as well. I need to watch Kingdom.
I was thinking them.
How would it hold up to the three, would you say?
It wouldn't say it holds a candle up to the other three. I think it's very weak. It's fine. I mean, it's
Okay.
not a sexy review that really. It's fine.
Okay. Got ya. But yeah,
It's a perfectly fine three-star film, I think.
I do hold those in high regard for
Hmm.
sure. Do you have any more?
Pearl. I think
Yeah,
it's one of the
you've
best.
taken one off mine. I've got Pearl written down.
You see, you've written that many down. I have to steal some. That's my job. I think we got Maxine coming up shortly, which I really
Oh
cannot wait for.
yeah.
Pearl, I think, is a masterpiece. This made my top five of last year.
Mm.
I think it's this incredible. It's one of the very few films that has made me gone back on a franchise film and made me look at it a bit differently because I now view the mirroring in X between Maxine and Pearl to be very tragic, essentially.
I was so shocked when I found out that what's the name of the actress again?
Mia Goth,
Mia
which is
Goth.
tough.
That's it. Yeah, I'm rubbish with names. Um, when I found out that she was playing the old woman in X, I had no idea. I couldn't tell. I mean, she's an amazing actress, and her monologue in Pearl
Yeah,
was genuinely one of the most captivating things I've seen in
yeah,
a long time. Like I
one
was
of the
just
best
hanging off
pictures.
her every word. She was tearing up, and I was like tearing up on the inside. It was brilliant. It really
It's like
was.
I think internal rage. I think is brilliantly explored. I think like the psychopath of nature of a character. I think is brilliantly portrayed. And what I think is so weird about this is I think it's very heartfelt at the same time. Like you understand her.
Yeah, no,
Like why
genuinely,
she's
I
been.
understood. Oh, it was very relatable, I think. I think, especially today, people feel bound to sort of your corporate office bloody jobs, and people want to escape and live their dreams, but they can't. They're bound by sort of, their class, their money, the opportunities available to them, stuff like that. And so I feel like a lot of people definitely will have a similar rage to her. You know, what I mean, like when you're a kid, you go, "Oh yeah, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a cowboy. I
Mm,
want to be a movie star, rock star." And then you grow up, and it's like, "Oh well, I guess I'm working in accounting."
mm. Yeah, I think
Uh,
it's not the ultimate unsuccess story, literally.
yeah, yeah. Um, right.
But
Another one that I've got that probably has to be mentioned is Rogue One from
yeah, I
Star
love Rogue
Wars.
One.
That's gotta be mentioned. Brilliant film. That whole scene with Darth Vader at the very end is great. I mean, the whole film, really. And then I don't know if you've seen it, but a TV series called Andor is a prequel to Rogue
Ah,
One.
okay, I've heard good things. No, I haven't seen the Star Wars shows.
I watched it. I can confirm it was good. The first couple episodes were a bit slow, but after that, it was brilliant. Andy Serkis was also in it in a couple episodes towards the end. Yeah, it was a good show. And typically, Star Wars content TV shows aren't the most reliable.
Well, we know of that as of recent, but
Yeah, yeah. Um, I've got one more. It's also a TV show, unless you've got one.
nah, I'm out of
Oh,
cat.
uh, yeah, okay then. The only one I got is Better Call Saul, the
Hmm?
TV show, to Breaking Bad.
I haven't seen Breaking Bad.
Ah, Better Call Saul was an excellent prequel. I think it enhances Breaking Bad a lot, especially the character of Saul. It's very in depth, like the sort of character study of him and how he came to be. It was very good. I think personally, I'd still prefer Breaking Bad. It's a bit more suspenseful and thrilling. But Better Call Saul was a really well made, well written show.
Mm. I've thought about another one. It's a bit dicey, but would you class Saw X as a prequel in some regards?
Yeah, yeah, I'd class that as a prequel.
I'd put Saw X on that list. I thought it was probably the best the franchise has been since Saw 2,
Yeah,
which is really saying a
Saw
lot.
X was a lot of fun. I loved Saw X. It was great.
Very human side to John Kramer that we've never really seen come out. It had Tobin Bell on screen for the most runtime. It only
Genuine.
took you 10
Putting
films.
him on screen center stage was genius. It's what everyone wanted, and they gave it us. Hooray.
Really love the traps, particularly like the one where John gets involved in it with himself. I think
Oh
that's
my
always.
God.
I just think
Yeah.
it maybe lost its way towards the end because I think the final trap's probably the most underwhelming trap. But besides
Yeah.
that,
That was
can't
the
wait for
only
Saw
the only
11.
little niggle with it was I wish
I'm
that the villain, the
got tortured to hell.
her, yeah, genuinely, I was expecting something evil to happen to her, and it kind of just never did.
And I really enjoyed Saw X. I can't wait to see Saw 11. I mean, it's a franchise that we're talking at like 10 films in and we're still excited. It's really a testament.
Yeah, yeah. Like you know what you're going in for, and as long as they keep it keep it spicy, so you still can get like a lot of fun out of it. I'm not seen that many Saw films. I've seen the first one, I've seen the second one, and I've seen Saw X. So I've only seen three of
Which is basically all you need to see.
them. Yeah,
Saw 3, well, it does have an end, but like, I think it's a bit long,
yeah.
personally. I
And
think
then
it's the
I just heard it
longest.
like goes off the rails by seven.
6 is very good. I could argue that for underrated film, but I mean, um, already, I just think how long this pod's going to be at the end of this, but I will move on to the last category,
The
which you
final
came up with.
category, the last
Yeah,
one.
no.
We've
Uh,
got there after I don't
we've
even
got
know how
there.
long it's been.
I don't know how long this is going to be, so this will be a fun edit. But no, I think it's been a blast. Most undeserved Oscar win
Yeah.
that you came up with. I'll take credit.
Yeah, I suggest this one's get it to
I'll let you
10.
kick it off. Kick it off.
Um, I think I think this one is a bit of an obvious one. Uh, which is I think this was in 1999. I might be wrong. Saving Private Lion, Ryan,
Fine.
Lost to Shakespeare in Love, which had Gwyneth Paltrow in it. I think
Ah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can't exactly think about anyone talking about that film today. Like, you know what I mean? It's basically been forgotten. It was a pretty boring film, can't lie. Whereas Saving Private Ryan, I remember watching interviews and they were talking about how um it was making vets like, relive their PTSD because of how accurate the that D-Day scene was. Like it was just nuts. I think it's one of the best war films ever
I
made,
love it. Yeah, I agree.
and it's still watched today. Like I think, I mean, it's still held in very high regard today.
Mm. Yeah, I completely agree. I haven't seen Shakespeare in Love, and I kind of don't want to because it has Shakespeare in the title, and I can't stand William Shakespeare. That's enough on that. I'll go with my first one. Where I've kind of gone with like because you've gone with like best picture ones. I've kind of gone with some more smaller categories. I'm gonna go with original score first. Do you know The Social Network beat Inception?
No way.
Yeah, it did, and I love
Wow.
both films. But the Inception soundtrack is one of I'd put it top three Zimmer of all time. I think it's probably best
Oh,
known
I
than
don't know
that.
if I'd put it top three of Zimmer. Zimmer's done a lot.
But nah, like the ending song to Inception alone.
I mean, it's iconic. I think the Inception soundtrack is still memed about to this day with like the
Who remembers
Inception
the Social Network
noise.
soundtrack? Realistically, who
I can't
remembers?
I can't even
No, I
picture it.
can't
I can't
tell
even
you.
hear it in my head. Like I don't know what's going on.
That was my first pick.
That's a solid pick. That is I cannot believe that. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
nuts. Um, I've got Toy Story 4 winning Best Animation over a film called Klaus.
Ah, yeah. I've not seen Klaus, but
I
I've
don't
heard it should have won.
understand how it won when Toy Story 4 is basically the same animation as 3, 2, and 1. Obviously not 1. Like it's come a long way since 1, but you know what I mean? Like it looks the same. Um, Whereas Klaus had its like own original sort of look and feel to it, and a lot of effort and care will have went into it. Obviously, lots of effort and care will have gone into anything animated. That stuff takes a ridiculous amount of time to do. But yeah, I do think Klaus deserved the win over Toy Story 4. I mean, Toy Story 4 as a whole, I think was a pretty unnecessary film. I didn't
It's
mind
a
it.
good film. It's a good film, but I
It is a
mean,
good film. It is a good
you,
film.
if you take it out of the franchise in regards to the whole thing, it doesn't really affect anything.
Yeah, it was a good film. I did enjoy it, but it was a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, I'll go with my next one. This is going to be hot on this. Brendan Fraser's win for The Whale.
I didn't like The Whale.
Yeah, and even yeah, I thought it was too stagey. I thought it
Well,
felt like you could tell it was a show done to film, which is probably the worst thing. I've seen films set in one location that are so much more cinematic. I mean, Servant's probably the best example of that. That's 40 episodes mostly set in a house.
yeah, like I can't deny their performances will have been great, but I just with me, it's not anything there's anything wrong with it per se. I think it's definitely again more of a personal thing. I hated every character in that film.
Yeah, I know what you
I
mean. I
hated
hate. I
all of them. They all made the worst decisions and were awful people in at like every stage.
think.
And I just don't I like I don't even think he got redeemed at the end, if that's what it even was.
I don't know. It just.
I
Yeah,
I
I
just
do
feel like
agree.
that whole film, like why it's a whole other rant. It's a whole
I
other
would
rant.
have given it to Austin Butler for Elvis because of what he'd sort of had to put himself through to get a performance out like that. I mean, you can argue the same with Brendan, but I just thought Butler's just was on another league. I would have given him the win.
I think like it got given to Brendan because it was a critically acclaimed film, and sure it was objectively good. And then obviously I think the main thing as well that will have went into it is obviously everything that happened with Brendan, because before The Whale, like what would he have been in?
Not
Since
much.
his early days because of um I might be recalling correctly, but I think he got like sexually harassed by a female director or something like that.
Okay, I can't
I
confirm.
could be wrong.
Yeah.
Definitely someone fact check me. But something happened to him and he basically just got put on the blacklist from Hollywood and he wasn't in any films since. And then boom, The Whale happened and like Brendan Fraser is iconic from like my childhood, probably
Mm.
yours too. There's so many like
Yeah.
childhood like George the Jungle, The Mummy.
Mummy, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so that'll be why he's won.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he did win. I'm glad he won. It was like him tearing up was honestly very, very heartwarming to see. I
Mm.
can't lie. Um, but yeah.
Yeah. Have you got another pick or
Yeah, I put that Boyhood should have won over Birdman. Have you
you
seen
see,
the film Boyhood?
I've seen Boyhood, but I've not seen Birdman. I think Boyhood's a masterpiece.
Exactly. I think Boyhood is a masterpiece. It was directed over what, 12 years?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Something nuts. It was such a long project. So much went into it, and on top of that, it is just also a good, compelling film.
Mm.
Um, Birdman, I don't know, like it was one of them sort of one-shot type films, which is obviously difficult to do because like you got to sort of cut at certain points, where like you go into like a doorway or something like that. But I don't know, the story was all right. I wasn't that sort of taken aback
Mm.
by it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't really comment because I haven't seen it, but I think that was a very strong year for films. I think it was the same year we had like Nightcrawler come out, which didn't even get an Oscars looking.
No way. I loved Nightcrawler. That film is brilliant.
Yeah, that's probably my top 10 of all time now. It was a good year for
Nightcrawler is a
film that.
cracking film.
Good year for film that. I think it's a really interesting one. I've got one for cinematography. Gravity Beating Prisoners.
Yeah. I was thinking about Gravity, earlier.
Why is Gravity in the Oscars conversation and Interstellar was not at all? I mean, that is ludicrous.
That is insane. I remember I tried to rewatch Gravity and I just couldn't.
Ice High, it's insufferable. Like, I mean, it's just people floating in space for 90 minutes.
The first time
It's
I watched it,
insufferable.
I was on the edge of my seat. I can't lie.
Really?
Because
I
yeah, no,
wasn't.
the first time I watched it, I was on the edge of my seat. Because it was very suspenseful. I thought whether she was going to survive or not. But then on the second viewing, that was when it like hit me,
Mm.
and I sort of realized that yeah, this is actually really, really boring. Uh, yeah, it was literally just them floating around for an hour and a half.
It was. And it's Prisoners is immaculately shot. Have you seen Prisoners?
Yeah, I've seen Prisoners. There's a good
Prisoners
film.
is just stunningly shot. I mean, the way it sort of captures this frantic scenario, someone going missing, and the shot by Roger Deakins. I mean, I can't say anything bad against the guy. I
What did you
mean,
say, sorry?
I can't say anything bad against Roger Deakins.
No, no, no. Yeah, I mean the ending to Prisoners as well, like with the
Yeah.
whistle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's stunningly shot. I mean, some of the shadows in Prisoners are, yeah, probably maybe the film that should have won Deakins the Oscar, I'd argue. Then he
Yeah.
got it for Blade Runner, deservedly so.
I didn't write this down, but I'm curious what your thoughts were on the most recent win of um The Boy and the Heron over
Yeah, I considered that.
Across the Spider-Verse 2.
I've
Like
not
I was
seen.
considering writing it down, but at the same time, like I don't know, I can understand it winning.
Yeah, but I mean, across the Spider-Verse, I mean, just I think the amount of people that worked on that film, like thousands. I think I heard a story that if one person had did Across the Spider-Verse by themselves, it would have taken them about 75 years, which is just like that. How is that not like worthy of best animation? The level of
Yeah,
commitment, and it's a great story. It's
the
just a
animation in
great.
that film was amazing. Um, because I think about The Boy and the Heron, and I try to compare the animation to other ones like, Howl's Moving Castle and stuff like that. And it's very similar. But then at the same time, you could also argue that Across the Spider-Verse is basically the same as Into
Mm.
the Spider-Verse in terms of animation, apart from the odd scene, when like Gwen was talking to her dad and like they got a bit experimental with it. I don't know though. I feel like it's like so close. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know where to swing because I can understand the boy and the heron winning, but at the same time it's like, goddamn, Across the Spider-Verse was so good.
yeah, it was good. Yeah, it's made my top 10 last year. To be fair, I think probably the final Beyond the Spider-Verse. I can't. I think that. Well, I hope that wins whenever it comes out.
Mm,
I mean,
mm,
I don't think we've got a release date for that yet, and I think just seeing what they're going to be able to achieve is going to be mental. So
yeah.
I'm excited for that. Have you got one last pick to take us out on?
No, no, that was all of them. That was all of them, I'm afraid.
Have we done it? We done it.
We've got through it. We've got through it. I'm so
Well, what?
curious as to how long this is.
I know we're going to stop the recording, and then you're going to see. I think it's going to be at least 2 hours. Is it?
I think we started at like 11 there, something like that.
Oh my God, we might have got my longest podcast yet. So, I give a free thank you to Tom, who's given me my longest podcast yet. If you,
We think, yeah,
if
thank
yeah,
you.
we
It's been
think,
a blast.
if you have to get you back on, I think this has been a really good chat. To be fair, like genuinely, we've had a right old laugh and a good catch up, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, no, genuinely. It has been. We always do end up basically talking like
You,
this.
you're basically seeing how me and Tom interact on a daily basis. Well,
This
whenever we see
this
each
is
other in
this will be
person.
how we interact typically, talking about stuff. I mean, it used to be like we'd be going to the cinema and we'd have a chat like this in Burger King before, whilst we're having lunch before we go. We'd be in Burger King for like an hour and something minutes.
Is that
Uh,
pre-match analysis or post-match
Yeah,
analysis?
yeah, and then we just like discuss whatever else we were watching.
I
Back then,
remember
though,
those
I feel
days.
like we were going to the cinema like
Like once every
every,
week.
yeah, it was genuinely like once a week. There was just always something out. Whereas I feel like this year and last year, there's just not been that for me. I know you
Hmm.
watch a lot of lesser
Indie stuff. Yeah.
mainstream stuff, that you find through IMDb and stuff like that. And you recommend the good ones to me, which I then put on my letterbox that I'll
And then
eventually get around to.
yeah, and then I don't yeah. We did see Landing with the Devil, which is one of my favorite films of the year.
Yeah, yeah,
Love that.
yeah, yeah. That
We
was
could
a
have a
great
whole
film.
debate on this all night, but I'll say thank you to
Yeah,
everyone who's made it to the end of the episode.
yeah,
It's been a good chat. I think there's going to be a lot of takeaways, I think, for people and a lot of considerations. I think about franchises and like performances. So, and if you've got any hot takes and you want to chime in, please do comment down below. I'll say that when it gets
yeah,
uploaded to
yeah.
YouTube.
I tried to
I've
give some
heard
hot ones. I feel like a lot of them probably weren't as hot as people might typically think.
some might think what hot, but like you've got to just be a fan of the films, really. But
Yeah,
yeah, I will say thank you, Tom, again. It's been a pleasure, mate. Definitely will get you back on for series two. We'll have to do something totally like different to this.
yeah, yeah. Oh, you'll have to let me know so we can brew up some ideas, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I
we'll
can't think
definitely.
right now. It's literally 1:30 in the morning. My brain is fried.
No, I've got to do another podcast in about a couple of hours, so
Oh, Jesus
I'll leave it
Christ.
there, mate. All right, cheers
Yeah,
all, and I'll see you in the next episode.
yeah.
Right,
I'll
let's stop
see you around.
recording.
GG's.